At 8 years old, armed with nothing but a watermelon peeling knife, I saved a bunch of crazy rich kids abroad. After being escorted back to my home countries, I accidentally unlocked the Billionaire Here achievement. During the tearful family reunion, my wealthy mother looked at me with pure disgust and said, "It's fine that you're back, but don't you dare bully your little brother." Just when everyone thought I would cry a river, I turned to my dad, Arthur Thorne, and asked, "Is she my stepmom?" The maids in the house almost choked on their spit. Luckily, they covered their mouths in time. Madame Eleanor turned tomato red and yelled, "What is this kid talking about? How did I become a stepmom?" Hearing this, I tilted my head in confusion. Isn't that the truth? If I were your biological son, and you were the one who lost me, shouldn't you treat me like a VIP now that I'm back? Why are you playing favorites with an adopted kid, and looking at me like I'm a walking trash can? My flawless logic left her completely speechless. She just stood there, buffering. I couldn't care less about these NPCs. I looked straight at Arthur. "Where's my room?" "Second floor, next to the window," Arthur replied. I nodded, turned around and marched straight upstairs. All the way from the border to here, my survival instincts kept me on high alert. I hadn't slept a wink in days. I barely made it to the room before my system shut down. When I rebooted, it was already the next morning. Seeing a doll next to me, I instinctively snapped its head off, checked the hollow inside. Phew, no hidden sketchy party flower. Opening the room door, I followed the scent of food straight to the dining room. Because of Arthur's orders, Eleanor and Hugo had to awkwardly wait for me. Seeing me casually stroll in, she coldly snorted. "Sleeping until the sun is high and making everyone wait. Absolutely zero manners. Hurry up and sit down. Hugo is waiting to go out. Later you'll meet Hugo's classmates. Remember to act normal. They are all elite kids, not like the kids from your little village." "I'm not going. Don't wait for me." "What?" Hugo looked furious. "If you weren't going, why didn't you say so earlier? You made us wait forever." I hit him with a deadpan look. "Nobody asked me if I wanted to go." Eleanor thought I was being a toxic troll. She grabbed Hugo and stormed off without another word. Seeing the annoying mobs finally despawn, I enjoyed a rare, peaceful, top-tier breakfast. Just as I was about to leave the table, a teenage girl, about 15 or 16, walked downstairs with messy hair. She gave me a side-eye, then completely ignored me and started eating her breakfast. The butler stepped up to do the awkward introductions. "Miss, this is the young master who returned yesterday." "Young master, this is your older sister, Chloe." Chloe didn't even bother lifting an eyebrow. The butler looked at me with an embarrassed smile. But when he turned his head, he realized I was hyper-focused on the laptop in Chloe's hands. "Young master, is something wrong?" I pointed at the laptop and asked, "Where do you buy that?" The butler looked a bit troubled. "Because you are still young, and probably haven't touched a computer in the countryside. We haven't put one in your room yet." Before the butler could finish, I walked straight to my chair, pulled out a plastic bag, took out a thick stack of cash and handed it to him. "I have money. Can I buy one?" This baller move shocked even Chloe, who finally looked up from her screen. She turned to look at my dead serious face. Suddenly she found this feral kid interesting. "You want this thing?" I nodded with 100% sincerity. Chloe smirked. Her pretty face showed absolute chaos. "I can give it to you. But do you even know how to play?" I immediately stepped forward, curious. "How do you play?" "Watch closely, kiddo. These fancy graphics you see are actually made of these boring letters. Like this." Her fingers flew across the keyboard. Lines of alien text appeared. Codes scrolled like the Matrix. Finally, she hit enter. A brand new webpage popped up. Simple, right? Wanna try? Even a potato could understand this. If you can't, it proves you're a noob, and you don't get to call me sister anymore. The butler was sweating bullets. With the young lady's pro-hacker skills, challenging the feral kid was basically bullying an infant. Thinking about how I just came from the countryside, he suddenly felt super bad for me. Chloe generously picked me up and plonked me on her gaming chair. I poked around for a bit. Relying on my photographic memory, I typed out a string of characters and hit enter. When the new page loaded, Chloe's jaw dropped. "You did this?" She snatched the laptop back to the main screen, trying to find bugs to see if I used cheat codes. I looked at her, confused. "Didn't you just watch me type it?" The more Chloe looked, the more her brain short-circuited. "That's not the point. The code structure is fine. But why are there so many spelling typos?" I answered honestly. "I only know the alphabet. I never went to school. The few words I know are communication codes from the border." Chloe was speechless. She looked at me like I was a glitch in the Matrix. The next second, she reached out, scooped me up like a sack of potatoes, and sprinted upstairs. The butler was shaking with fear. He chased after her, yelling, "Miss, the master said no PvP combat in the house." The only response he got was Chloe yelling, "Shut up!" Chloe dumped me into her multi-monitor gaming setup. She pulled up 4 different code panels. "How much of this do you understand?" I scanned it, looking unfamiliar. I pointed a finger at a line on the 3rd monitor. "Is this part typed wrong?" Chloe froze. She leaned in and squinted. "Where?" "Here." I dragged my finger up. Since it was a touchscreen, I deleted the original code, typed a new line myself. Before Chloe could react, I smashed the enter key. "Hey, don't touch that." Chloe was about to rage quit. Her hacker guild was in the middle of a massive cyber warfare tournament. They were defending against a rival guild's DDoS attack, trying to find a firewall loophole in record time to win the championship. She hadn't slept in days for this. She finally reached the final boss stage. And just because she went downstairs for some toast, this feral kid ruined everything. Just as she was about to explode, the screen suddenly flashed bright. A victory sign popped up with a question mark. At the same time, her headset exploded with her teammates screaming, "Holy cow! Boss Chloe, you're a god! 1 shot, 1 kill on their weak spot. Their server just went to the Shadow Realm. We won! We're the champions!" Hearing their monkey screams of joy, Chloe slowly turned her head toward the 3rd monitor. Her eyes grew wider and wider. Do you still want a computer? I'll buy you one." She scratched her head. Getting carried by an 8-year-old was kind of embarrassing. Now she was desperately trying to bribe me. I didn't know what a tournament was, but I figured I did something good, so I didn't hold back. "Yeah, I want one." "Deal, we're going shopping right now." When we arrived at the mega mall, I had already finished reading an entire dictionary. Chloe didn't believe it. She pointed at random street signs to test me. I just glanced at them. Not only did I pronounce them perfectly, I even explained their meanings, and quoted some idioms for extra damage. Chloe stared at my tiny head in horror. "How is your brain wired? Since when did our family have SSR tier genetics?" It was my first time in such a crowded, fancy place. Honestly, I was stressed. My survival instincts were scanning every single person, calculating threat levels. Chloe thought I was just scared of the crowd. She thought for a second, then held my hand, comforting me. "Don't be scared. Big sis is here." In the electronics section, she walked straight to a familiar store. Chloe waved her hand like a boss. "Bring out the most OP max spec setup you have for this lady." The store owner was Chloe's friend. Seeing her drag a kid along, he was shocked. "Miss Chloe taking her little brother shopping? That's a rare spawn. But wait, the young master looks a bit too crispy tan today? Get out of here." "He's not that, crybaby Hugo. He's my real brother. Biological, okay?" I stood at the counter waiting for the PC. Suddenly, my collar was lifted into the air. "It's too heavy. Just let them deliver it to the house." Chloe carried me out of the store like a stray kitten. She checked the map, and we headed straight to the bookstore. Inside, she followed the signs to the IT section, grabbed a stack of basic programming books and shoved them into my arms. "These are for building your foundation. Your code structure is absolute garbage." I held a stack of books thicker than bricks. Everything felt so new. I had only seen places like this on TV. While I was looking around, I spotted a familiar girl. She also looked up and saw me. Her mouth formed an O shape in surprise. She practically sprinted toward me. "Leo, why are you here? I was going to visit you in 2 days. Are you doing okay?" This was basically my only friend in this city. She had helped me before, so I nodded. "Yeah, I'm at the Thorn family now. Food is good, thanks." The girl was super happy for me, smiling. "That's great. But Chloe Thorn isn't a nice person. Watch out. She might bully you. She's the legendary school tyrant in both middle and high school. She spares no one. She was just worried about my HP." I shook my head. Before I could explain, a big hand grabbed me and pulled me behind someone's back. "Nora Quinn, who are you calling a bully?" "That's my brother. Why are you trying to aggro him?" Nora froze. She looked at Chloe, then at me. "You guys came together?" Chloe snapped. "Duh, who else would he be with? You?" Nora raised her hands defensively. "Misunderstanding! Your brother and I came back from the border together. He helped me a lot. I just wanted to check on him." Chloe thought she was acting like a fake NPC, but she let go of me, mocking. "Only a weakling like you would get kidnapped. What's the point of having high grades? A gust of wind could knock you out." Facing the trash talk, Nora just smiled gracefully. She bent down to look at the books I was holding. "Are you planning to read all these? Do you understand them?" I nodded. Then I remembered this girl was a straight A student, so I asked, "Can you help me pick some reference books?" I figured Chloe only had points in the tech skill tree. The dictionary in the car was comprehensive, but the lore was too complicated. I only memorized it because my brain runs on an Intel Core i9. Of course! Nora's eyes curved into crescent moons. She was more than happy to repay the favor. After all, my life-saving heroic deed couldn't be broadcasted. Privately, she wanted to treat me well. Honestly, after returning home, she thought pretending to be the Thorne family's kid was sketchy. She was planning to come to the Thorne house in a few days to adopt me. Her family was rich enough to keep a stray feral kid. But seeing Chloe guarding me like a raid boss, things seemed more complicated now. I was completely clueless about the intense laser eye battle happening between the two teen girls. I followed Nora to the elementary textbook section. After checking the books she picked, I was very satisfied and said thanks. Nora was about to pat my head, but Chloe glared at her, so Nora pointed to the top shelf instead. Actually, the fastest way to learn words is reading stories. Comic books aren't boring. Do you want some? I nodded curiously. You can't see them from down there. Let me lift you up so you can pick. Nora opened her arms to me. I was just about to say yes. Suddenly, my feet left the ground. Chloe grabbed me by the armpits and hoisted me up, provoking Nora. He's not your brother. Mind your own business. Nora frowned at her rough handling. You're making him uncomfortable, Chloe finally realized, and quickly put me down. Nora sighed helplessly. She bent down, supported my arms gently, and lifted me up like I was made of glass. When it comes to babysitting stats, Nora's gentleness was clearly a higher level. After picking the comics, the three of us walked out of the bookstore. Nora invited me for ice cream. That stuff is pure sugar. What's so good about it? Chloe, who hated sweets, scoffed. Nora pointed at the menu and asked me which flavor I wanted. I shook my head, saying I'd never had any. Chloe, who was walking a step behind, heard that. She stopped in her tracks. Only then did she notice how painfully skinny I was. My hair was yellowish and dry like hay. Normally, getting a full meal was probably a luxury for me, let alone fancy desserts in a premium shop. For a second, she felt guilty for her lack of attention. A bit of heartbreak kicked in. She marched forward and grabbed my hand. Bring out every single flavor you have. Take your time and taste test all of them. A few minutes later, inside the parlor, the table was fully loaded with rainbow-colored ice cream, stacked like a mountain just for me. I took a tiny spoon of dark chocolate. The sweetness exploded in my mouth and my eyes lit up like high beams. Chloe had been staring at my face. Seeing my reaction, she looked incredibly smug. If you like it, we'll buy a whole fridge of it for the house. You can eat until you drop. Nora sat across from us, feeling helpless but amused. Kids have sensitive stomachs. Too much cold stuff will give him an upset tummy. Chloe blanked out for a second, scratched her head and muttered, "Why are human larvae so complicated?" Right at that moment, a group of kids walked past outside. The flashiest kid in the group stopped and looked into the shop. My radar went off and I looked up, locking eyes with a very shocked Hugo. The kids outside saw Hugo stop. They followed his gaze and saw the three of us. Hugo, isn't that your sister? Why is she feeding another kid fancy food? Yeah! Didn't you say she was too busy to play with you? Is the girl sitting across from her the top student in high school? She's so pretty. Rich kids mature early. They knew all about the famous upperclassmen, especially Chloe and Nora, both beautiful, and legendary figures with huge reputations. They were constant hot topics. Hugo was only the center of his squad, because his sister was the IT god Chloe. Hugo, didn't you say your sister loves you the most? Let's go in. Tell her to buy us ice cream. Yeah, I want ice cream too. The peer pressure was real. Hugo couldn't back down. He glared at us, gritted his teeth. Fine, let's go. A horde of kids rushed in, before the staff could even say welcome. Sis! Hugo took the lead, grabbed Chloe's sleeve, acting all cute and sweet. Why didn't you tell me you were hanging out? We could have come together. My friends really like you too. Yeah, Chloe. Hugo said you're a pro gamer. Can you teach us? Wow, you guys ordered so much ice cream. Can we share? Chloe was surrounded by noisy gremlins. The chatter gave her a massive headache. She swatted Hugo's hand away, annoyed. If you want to eat, buy it yourself. It's not like you're broke. Why are you crashing our party? Hugo didn't expect her to embarrass him in front of his squad. His face turned beet red. He gritted his teeth, acting like a victim. But I just want to hang out with you. The other kids looked confused. They pointed at me and asked, then who is he? Why does he get to eat with Chloe? Is he Nora's brother? Nonsense. Nora doesn't have a brother. Hearing them talk about me, Hugo panicked, terrified they'd find out he was just an adopted kid. In his panic, his mouth ran faster than his brain. He's the new maid's son. He just moved in. The squad went, oh! When they looked at me again, their eyes were full of judgment. No wonder he's so dark. His clothes look so cheap. Hugo, you're buying food for the maid's son? Why not treat us instead? Before Hugo could come up with a lie, slam! Chloe smashed her hand on the table. The loud sound made the kids jump out of their skin. When they looked up, Chloe's face was darker than the bottom of a pot. She glared daggers at Hugo. Who are you calling a maid's son? Hugo, you've been in the Thorn house for too long. Have you forgotten your own place? She reached out, grabbed Hugo aggressively and hissed. The food you eat, the clothes you wear, even your last name, is stolen! Where do you get the audacity to talk trash? Hugo had never seen her this furious. Being publicly humiliated like this, his tears started falling like a broken faucet. Chloe hated his crybaby act the most. She pushed him away in disgust, pointed at me and announced to the gremlins, "Listen up, brats. He is Chloe Thorne's biological brother. If I catch any of you bullying him, I'll send you all to the Shadow Realm. Got it?" The kids were terrified of her raid boss energy. Forget about comparing status. They just wanted to survive. They scattered like roaches, leaving Hugo rubbing his eyes, crying as he ran off to find Mommy Eleanor. Sitting across the table, Nora shook her head and sighed. "This adopted kid of yours really needs a system update," Chloe snorted. But for once, she didn't argue back. By the third ice cream cone, my HP was full. I couldn't eat anymore. Looking at the leftover desserts, I felt a bit sad. Nora read my mind. She suggested we could pack it up. If you don't want to waste it, we can take it home. I didn't know you could take loot to go. I nodded immediately. After eating, Chloe eagerly asked me, "Do you want anything else? Let's go buy it." My inventory was full. I shook my head. I want to go home and read. Just then a massive explosion echoed from the first floor, followed by terrified screaming. I immediately found cover and ducked down. They instinctively hid behind the glass railing with me. What was that? Chloe's ears were ringing from the shockwave. I turned my head, put a finger to my lips signaling her to be quiet, then whispered, "Pew pew sounds." "What?" Nora and Chloe gasped in unison. They looked in the direction I was watching. Sure enough, the first floor was in absolute chaos. A masked man was waving a metal blaster around like a maniac. "Nobody move!" The man roared, turned around and smashed the jewelry counter glass. "Put all the gold in the bag! Hurry up!" The staff crawled up, shaking, hands in the air, opening the cases, using a bag to gather the loot for him. Is he crazy? Robbing a gold shop at the mega mall? Chloe frowned, noticing a staff member secretly pressing the silent alarm. The police station is literally down the street. Cops will be here in a blink. Anyone with half a brain wouldn't pull a heist here. Something's wrong with him. Nora noticed the anomaly too, staring at the hand holding the weapon. He's shaking constantly, can't even stand straight. If he's not sick, he's definitely drunk. If the cops breach right now, it might trigger a total wipeout. Sure enough, a few minutes later, the SWAT team arrived. Using a megaphone outside, the man's mood instantly went chaotic. He pressed the blaster against a staff member's head. "Did you snitch on me? Did you?" Without waiting for an answer, he didn't hesitate to pull the trigger. Bang! A loud shot rang out. Everyone witnessed a terrifying scene, but luckily, the recoil hit him, so his aim was trash. The staff member only took a hit to the shoulder, fell to the floor groaning. Even so, the mall was filled with screams. Among them, a kid's crying was exceptionally loud. The man looked toward the noise, saw a dozen kids huddled together. He marched over and grabbed one, pointed his tool at the kid. "Shut up! Stop crying!" The three of us on the second floor saw everything perfectly. Those kids were Hugo's classmates. Right now, Hugo was being hugged tightly by Madame Eleanor, who had just finished her manicure, hiding behind a fake potted plant. Mother's instinct, I guess. Chloe took a deep breath, gritting her teeth. "Our luck is absolute garbage." Nora held her back tightly, scared she'd do something reckless. When suddenly, I moved. I ducked and sprinted into a store. "Hey, Leo!" Nora and Chloe couldn't catch me in time. Taking advantage of the robber's blind spot, they carefully crab-walked after me. I ran into a mountaineering gear shop, quickly locked onto my target, grabbed a tactical folding knife and a coil of rope, snatched a thick marker from the cashier's desk. Nora rushed in. "What are you doing?" I looked up at her, then looked at my hands, handed her the marker. "You right." Nora had zero clue what my game plan was, but I was already moving. She had no choice but to follow. At the second floor lounge area, she suddenly saw me standing right across from the glass, facing the SWAT officers outside who were prepping a forced breach. I spread my arms wide, signaling them not to smash the glass. Nora ran up. I instantly pulled her down. I pointed at the officer outside the glass and said, "Tell them, lone wolf target, intoxicated, has already drawn first blood, currently holding kids hostage." Nora finally realized what the marker was for. She rushed to the glass window, quickly wrote down the intel. Sure enough, the repelling officer paused, immediately used his radio to contact command. Also, I tugged at Nora's shirt, looked up calmly and said, "He's carrying spicy fireworks. I saw the fuse wires. Just, the colors are a bit weird." "What?" Nora and Chloe shuddered in fear. Chloe quickly squatted down and asked, "What color were the wires?" "Rainbow-colored. At the border, I usually only saw gray or dirt-colored ones." Chloe gave Nora a grim look. She nodded at Nora. "Probably from a prop store. It's a trend in the underground market right now. They can be modded into real boom-boom sticks." Nora frowned. The next second, she wrote on the glass, "Suspect has explosives." She couldn't afford to be vague right now. Otherwise, the casualty rate would skyrocket. That last piece of intel made the officer outside talk on the radio for a long time. I tugged Nora's shirt again. My voice was childish but eerily calm. "I'll infiltrate and provide support." "What?" Nora and Chloe were stunned at the same time. Their reaction was perfectly synchronized. "No way! Too dangerous!" Letting an 8-year-old face an armed robber? That was pure madness. But down on the first floor a kid started wailing again, accompanied by the robber's impatient roaring. The tension in the mall hit maximum capacity. Time was out. I bent down, hid the knife in my sock, put on the rope and sprinted off. Nora and Chloe were caught off guard. They couldn't stop me. "Damn it!" Chloe patted Nora's shoulder and quickly chased after me. Nora was terrified I'd get game overed. She gritted her teeth, wrote my plan on the glass, then closed her eyes and ran after us, leaving the SWAT officers outside, completely dumbfounded. By the glass railing, on the second floor, I found a blind spot right behind the man, tied the rope to the railing. Chloe was about to help, but realized my movements were pro-level. The knot was complex and rock-solid. She pulled on it, and it didn't budge an inch. Seeing I was about to slide down the rope, she panicked. "Hey, you need a safety harness. Let me lower you down." Nora walked up slowly, hesitating before asking softly, "Are you sure you can do this?" I turned to look at her, and gave a silent nod. Nora finally breathed out, pulling Chloe's hand away. She whispered, "Then you have to be careful." This was the first time someone had ever said that to me. I gave Nora a long look, then gently grabbed the rope. In a blink of an eye, before they could even process it, whoosh, I slid down to the lower floor. Nora and Chloe leaned over the railing. The tiny figure was already in stealth mode. Forget the armed robber. Even the hostages around him barely noticed I existed. Everyone was too busy staring at the SWAT team with their jaws dropped, seeing me crouch and navigate through the crowd. Inch by inch, approaching Eleanor and Hugo. Nora suddenly gripped Chloe's arm, in a panicked voice. "Did we make a mistake? He just got home." She knew her parents' personalities too well. Her dad only cared about money. Her mom definitely favored Hugo. And to Chloe, this kid was just a temporary obsession. A stray she picked up to hang out with, just for calling her sister. Was it worth him risking his life like this? Nora turned to look at her. Still hadn't told her this wasn't a biological brother, but just a total stranger. But right now, they only had one option. We have to trust him. Trust that he can save them from that maniac. I believed I wasn't just a normal kid. On the first floor, the hostage kid was still crying loudly. The drunk robber roared in frustration. "Shut up, you hear me? If you don't, I'll send you to Jesus right now." Seeing him press the weapon against the kid's head, the crowd gasped in horror. At the mall entrance, the police finally took my tactical advice. Sent plainclothes officers to blend into the crowd. Seeing the situation by the gold counter, they all took a sharp breath. Thank God they didn't force a breach earlier. With so many kids and civilians, even one casualty would be a massive failure. The problem was the building's layout. Snipers had no line of sight, increasing the difficulty of taking down the target. Right now, they didn't dare place their hopes on some weird stealth kid. They could only slowly secretly close the gap. I sneaked past the decorative plants. When I popped up next to Eleanor and Hugo, Hugo was burying his face in Eleanor's chest, sobbing. "Why are you?" Eleanor saw me and her jaw dropped. Taking care of Hugo alone was already overloading her brain. If she added another kid, what was she supposed to do? But I didn't give her time to buffer. I pushed her arm away. My tiny hand formed a chop and delivered a clean strike to the back of Hugo's neck. I might be small, but my stats and strength are maxed out. Hugo instantly went into sleep mode. Eleanor was terrified and about to scream. I quickly slapped my hand over her mouth, then pointed toward the mall's stairwell, signaling her to carry Hugo and extract from there. A moment later, Madame Eleanor calmed down, hugged Hugo tightly and crawled toward the stairwell. There was cover there, so she wouldn't be spotted. But halfway there, she realized I wasn't following. She couldn't help but look back, only to see me squatting silently watching her. Leo, Eleanor's lips trembled, calling my name in her heart, but I just shook my head at her, urging her to hurry up and leave. Don't go, let's leave together. Eleanor desperately wanted to say that, but looking down at Hugo in her arms, the fear of losing her son won the mental battle, making her give me one last deep look, before ruthlessly turning away. Chloe saw everything from the second floor, gritting her teeth, her eyes red, feeling both useless herself and disgusted by her mother's heartlessness. I watched the Thorn duo successfully extract, then retracted my gaze. I believe that in this world, there is no free lunch. Earlier, Chloe bought me a PC and treated me to top-tier ice cream, so I had to repay the favor. As for saving people in the mall, the grandpa who raised me once said, "When there are too many bad guys, only by doing lots of good deeds can you keep yourself as a good person." I didn't want to become like those villagers. I wanted to be a good NPC. The kids who couldn't control their emotions were still crying, greatly distracting the robber's aggro, but it also enraged him further. The hand on the trigger was gripping so hard his veins popped. I saw the hostage kid being choked, struggling to breathe. His lips were turning purple. Knowing I couldn't wait any longer, I quickly blended into the group of kids. When the guy turned his head to look at the entrance again, I lunged forward, grabbed the hostage kid's legs, and yanked downward. The robber was caught off guard and stumbled back, letting go and dropping the kid. "Which little rat did that?" The guy spun around furiously, didn't even think, raised his weapon and rushed over. Smack! My forehead took a brutal hit, but I stood there, unmoving. The crowd watching this were so terrified they forgot to breathe, fearing the psycho would pull the trigger immediately. A normal person would have mentally collapsed under this pressure. An accidental discharge could happen at any millisecond. But not only did I not cry, I slowly raised my hands in a surrender motion. My dark eyes were bottomless, my face unnaturally calm, making the criminal pause for a second. His short-circuited brain didn't have time to process. He scooped me up as his new meat shield, whether it was Nora's squad upstairs or the cops blending in. No one expected things to go this smoothly. Who would have thought? The tactical plan made by an 8-year-old actually worked. Since it happened, they could only adapt and play along. After being picked up, I finally got a clear view of the cops' positions in the lobby, but their ambush points were too far. They had to wait to get closer to ensure a clean takedown. Right now, I just needed to act like a good little prop. But just as the cops were closing in, the robber's phone suddenly rang. The loud ringtone tore through the silence, freezing everyone in place. The man seemed to realize who was calling. His emotions spiked. After tossing me to the ground, he pointed his tool at me with one hand and answered the phone with the other. "Hello, Rue? Is it you? Break up?" "No, I don't want to break up. You said you needed the 3 gold dowry sets, right? I'm getting them right now. Forget 3. I'll give you 5. I'm coming to propose today. Rue, hello? Hello?" Followed by his desperate screaming. The person on the other end hung up, completely igniting his rage. He suddenly burst into tears, howling tragically, "Scammers! You're all scammers!" With that, he lost his mind and raised the barrel, preparing to spray the crowd. The millisecond before he pulled the trigger, I blitzed him. My movements were blindingly fast, like a tiny ghost. I dashed to his blind spot, delivered a precision karate chop to his wrist. A tragic scream echoed. The weapon dropped to the floor. He fell to the ground, twitching. Noticing a squad of people rushing at him, a flash of absolute despair hit his eyes. Where he got the strength from, nobody knows. He grabbed the barrel with his other hand, lay on his back, aiming it at his own stomach. Seeing this, the cop a few meters away went pale, yelled out, "Get down!" Everyone charging forward immediately hit the deck, covering their heads, not knowing the blast radius of his explosives. To ensure self-preservation, hitting the deck was the only option to minimize AoE damage. But the very next second, a second tragic scream hit everyone's ears. They instinctively looked up, following the sound, only to see me kneeling next to the guy, the tactical knife in my hand raised high, trailing a line of blood. His other wrist had been completely sliced open. I ripped his jacket open, didn't even bother checking if the explosives were real or fake, yanked the fuse wires right out, then stood up and kicked the blaster away, silently looking at the dozen cops. Those officers were completely mind-blown by my buttery smooth, John Wick-level combo. They looked up, dumbfounded, at me holding a knife, covered in blood, and looking menacing. If it weren't for my age, they would have thought I was some cold-blooded assassin. It took them a long time to reboot. They scrambled up one by one, looked at his cleanly severed tendons, then looked back at me. By now Nora and Chloe had rushed over and surrounded me, checking my HP from head to toe. Did he choke you? Does it hurt? How's your head? Are you dizzy? No, we need to go to the hospital right now. That hit to your head was no joke. I looked at them blankly and whispered, I'm fine. But nobody listened. The two girls dragged me outside, one on each side. The cops walked up to block us. They looked at me, hesitating, asking if this kid could give a statement first. He looked at me, not quite sure what to call me. At this moment, Chloe stepped up, full-on boss mode. No, do you not see the giant lump on his head? We're going to the hospital. If you need anything, come to the Thorn house and find me. Arthur Thorn is my dad. With that, she dragged me away. I was taken to the hospital for some patching up. The bruises on my neck were also treated. Hearing that I bravely neutralized the bad guy, the nurse even stuck a little gold star on my head bandage. When we walked out of the clinic, Nora and Chloe walked beside me, confirming I was actually fine. They finally let out a sigh of relief. Nora, usually gentle, rarely lectured anyone. She looked at me seriously. Don't do anything that risky ever again. Dangerous things are for adults to handle. You are still a child, understand? Chloe rarely agreed with her. With a dark face she added, if you don't listen, next time you go out, I'll assign bodyguards to trail you. Just then, rushed footsteps echoed from the end of the hallway. Arthur Thorn and another man were running toward us. Seeing the three of us outside the clinic, he grabbed Chloe nervously. Chloe, are you hurt? Chloe swatted his hand away. I wasn't the one saving people. Why are you looking at me? Reminded by that, Arthur finally looked at me, but his first reaction wasn't to check my HP. Instead, he frowned and scolded. Who gave you permission to play hero? Do you know how dangerous that was? I heard you even knocked Hugo out. No sense of restraint. Don't you ever do anything that's stupid again? As soon as the words left his mouth, forget Chloe. Even Nora's face darkened instantly. Dad! Chloe couldn't hold back anymore, stepping in front of me and yelling, he saved Mom and Hugo. The whole mall, including me, didn't get blown to bits because of him. You all bowing down to thank him wouldn't even be enough. What right do you have to scold him? Do you not see the bandage on his head? Do you even see him as your son? But Arthur had just received the DNA report. He had zero self-awareness right now, since I wasn't his actual kid, just some bootleg copy from nowhere. And he had already registered my name with Grandpa, bringing him a massive headache. Obviously, his tone wouldn't be nice. Chloe, stay out of this. He forcefully pushed Chloe aside. He's used to running wild outside. If I don't discipline him now, he'll cause a disaster later. Saying that, he wanted to step forward again. This time, a second figure blocked him. It was Nora. Nora was famous for being the perfect child. Smart, virtuous, respectful to elders. This was the first time she used an icy face against someone. Old Thorn, let's talk this out calmly. Suddenly, the middle-aged man who had been quiet all this time placed a hand on Arthur's shoulder, smiling warmly. The kid just went through a traumatizing event. If you want to teach him, save it for later. If you're still annoyed, why don't you let him stay at my place for a few days? I actually quite like this little guy. Nora's eyes lit up hearing this. Dad, I was just about to invite Leo over. Let him recover at our house. The middle-aged man, Nora's dad, Mr. Quinn, kept his trademark smile and nodded. Good, good, good. Your mom always wanted a son anyway. A few days at our house will be great. Normally, with the business ties between the Quinn and Thorn families, Arthur should be thrilled. But right now, he hesitated. His smile stiffened as he declined. I won't bother CEO Quinn. This kid is too rowdy. Better to let him rest at home. Grandpa will be picking him up soon anyway. I wasn't of Thorn blood. Logically, he should have kicked me out instantly, but he couldn't explain it to the grandpa, and he didn't have time to find his real son yet, so I had to stay. Continue cosplaying as the Thorn heir. Based on this logic, he absolutely couldn't let another family snatch me away and risk exposing the secret. His stance was firm, so the Quinn duo had to drop it. Before leaving, Nora gave me her contact info, told me to hit her up if I needed anything. I nodded, put the paper in my pocket, because Hugo was still getting a full body scan in the hospital. Only Chloe went home with me. We had just finished showering. When the cops arrived, they came to take my statement, and there was a whole squad of them in the Thorn living room. Aside from the captain and the note-taker, over a dozen cops were crammed in, standing there awkwardly, sitting opposite on the sofa. Chloe frowned deeply. Do you really need this many people for a statement? People would think you're here to arrest a cartel boss. Captain Luke rubbed his nose, smiled awkwardly. Mainly, today was all thanks to the young Thorn Master's assist. I was basically their lifesaver, so everyone wanted to come and say thanks. Seeing their captain providing an out, the burly men behind him quickly stepped up, bowing one by one to thank me. I sat silently on the sofa, holding the ice cream I just received, watching it slowly melt, counting how many people were left to say thanks. If it weren't for the mall's security cameras, they absolutely wouldn't believe the kid in front of them was the one who raided the climbing store, geared up with rope and a knife, calmly stopped the cops from breaching, infiltrated solo to the robbers' side, and literally blocked a gun barrel with his head. The captain was shocked too, but he had seen wild things before. He quickly gathered himself, told his team to stand down, and opened the questioning. When the gunshot went off, "You guys were together, right?" Chloe nodded, taking the lead. "Yes, we just finished our ice cream and walked out." "So your first reaction was to hide, obviously." Chloe spoke like it was common sense. The captain smiled, but his eyes were scanning. A normal person hearing a loud bang would first look for the source of the sound, to see the drama, not hide. In other words, you instantly recognized it was a gunshot. Chloe froze. Thinking about it, that logic made sense, but actually the first one to hide wasn't her, it was me. But her instinct told her telling the truth would get me in trouble. So she frowned, annoyed. "What are you implying? Do you suspect we're in cahoots with the robbers?" "Don't misunderstand, just doing standard procedure." Luke had solved cases for years. One glance and he knew the girl was dodging the question. He didn't rush, just smiled, planning to dig slowly. At this moment, I, who had been silently eating ice cream, spoke up. I recognized it. It was a pew-pew sound. The living room went dead silent. Shocked eyes immediately locked onto me. Luke narrowed his eyes at the eerily calm kid opposite him. "Have you heard gunshots before?" "Where?" I licked the ice cream off my lip. "At the border." Luke finally remembered. "In my case file, it said I was kidnapped to the border. Those thugs definitely had weapons." But he wasn't sure if they fired them, because before that gang got busted, they all perished in a fire. "Your reaction time is insane." He closed the file and naturally shifted the chat to me, friendly and casual. "So why did you think of using a rope to save everyone? The bad guy had weapons and explosives. Weren't you scared?" Chloe vaguely sensed something was off, hated this type of leading interrogation, was about to intervene. When she heard my clear answer, "I was scared." I nodded, my tiny face dead serious, admitting my fear of getting a game over, then added, "But if I didn't do it, more people would get hurt. I promised Grandpa that I would become a good NPC who helps others." My voice still had that baby tone, but the words left everyone in the room stunned. Luke, with years of detective experience, could tell I wasn't lying, and I said it with pure sincerity, shaken by the unyielding resolve in my dark eyes. The interrogation couldn't continue. Chloe felt a bit emotional too, unconsciously rubbing my little head. "Who's Grandpa?" I glanced at her, not knowing how to explain it. Finally generalized, "The person who raised me. I'm an orphan. Grandpa picked me up, fed me, but I don't know his name." Chloe saw the flash of nostalgia in my eyes. Her heart softened, comforting me. "If you miss him, we can bring him to live here." But I shook my head, looking down at the melting ice cream, whispering, "No need. He logged out of life, ended by a criminal's weapon. I used $30 I made from guiding to buy a wooden board, and buried him on the mountain." That was my first time working as a guide, in the ravine behind the village, helping them block the pursuit of 3 police cars. Although the villagers took most of the money, the remaining $30 were handed directly to me. "This kid looks sharp, good potential. Too bad he's a bit young." The man smoking in the driver's seat smiled at me, but the back of the truck was leaking bloody water and smelled like death. I heard they were smuggling expired frozen meat. Massive profit, but anyone who ate it would get sick, or even get their subscription to life cancelled. I just wanted to bury Grandpa. I didn't want to join their guild. Seeing me back away defensively, the man smiled a rather menacing smile. "Born in this place, your fate is sealed. Once a guide, always a guide. You and us, we're exactly the same, understand?" But I didn't want to accept that server rule set. I didn't want to be a bad NPC. So later, I drew a map of their escape route and handed it to the cops. Told them there was a loophole at the border that could provide an escape route for those guys. The tainted meat never made it to the city. Those guys got busted too. By chance, I walked past the guard post once, saw a drawing posted there, seemed like it was for me. I copied the words from the drawing, went home and asked someone else. Found out those 2 words meant, "Thank you." Looking at that drawing, I figured I must be a good NPC. Chloe almost broke down from my casual logged out comment. She glared at Luke. "This is all because you talk too much." Bringing up the kid's ad spec story, Luke felt super awkward too, especially since the file said I was 8, but the kid in front of him was skin and bones. obviously had suffered a lot. To keep such a pure heart through all that suffering, and bravely save people, even if his methods were a bit hardcore, it was completely understandable. Anyway, he couldn't bear to interrogate me anymore, led his squad to the door, thanked me again, and hurried off. After the cops left, Chloe mumbled quietly, "What kind of people are these? Suck at solving cases, but experts at suspecting their own team." When Arthur brought Hugo and Eleanor back from the hospital, the moment they walked in, the dining table was full of food, and their usually arrogant daughter was buzzing around me like a nanny. "Do you want this? Is it too spicy? The sweet and sour ribs are top tier. You need to eat more meat to buff up. Being too skinny ruins your stats. Here, drink some soup. I'll serve you." The Thorne couple instantly felt a wave of jealousy, because they had never received this VIP treatment. Hugo, who just woke up, started wailing directly, diving into Madam's arms. "Mommy, why does she like him and not me? He hit me today!" It hurt so much. She should be hitting him. Why is she so nice to him? Eleanor heard this, wanted to mute him, but it was too late. "Huh, did you guys really not explain a single thing to him?" Chloe stood up straight from the table, her pretty face full of mockery, staring right into Hugo's red, crying eyes. "You're asking why I like Leo and not you? Because he saved everyone, from the robbers at the mall, including you and Mom, and all your show-off little friends, while you just hid in Mom's arms and cried. Got saved by Leo, and still came back to falsely report him." Eleanor couldn't watch this anymore, wanted to play peacekeeper. "All right, Chloe, your brother was just scared. Everyone is safe and sound now. Don't bring it up again." Chloe looked at her mother, her eyes full of disappointment, suppressing a hoarse voice. "It's because he saw you guys upstairs. Leo was afraid you'd panic, so he was the first to go down and save you. Mom, you took Hugo and ran. Do you know Leo had a weapon pointed at his head? Almost got his life subscription cancelled? You and Hugo bowing down to thank Leo wouldn't even be too much. What right do you have to ban us from talking about it?" They had never seen Chloe this emotional and out of control. For a moment, they all froze like their ping spiked to 999. Not knowing how to react, I whispered, "I want to eat that." Chloe finally wiped her face, turned back to grab food for me. "Seems like you really like fish. Did you live near the sea before?" I shook my head. "No fish at the border. Sometimes freezer trucks pass by, but fish bellies are just for hiding stuff. I've never eaten seafood in my whole life. It just tastes really good. Eat slower. Watch out for the bones." Seeing me inhale the fish, Chloe freaked out, focused 100% on watching me eat, making sure I didn't choke. So she lost the mood to troll Eleanor and Hugo. Hugo wanted to say something, but Arthur stopped him. He led the mother and son into the study. "The DNA report is back." He handed the file to Eleanor, telling them to read it. Eleanor saw his expression and felt suspicious, quickly grabbed the report. "What? He has zero biological connection to us? He's not our son?" Flipping to the last page and seeing result, she gasped in shock. Hugo, standing beside her, had stars in his eyes. "He's not our family! Dad, let's kick him out right now!" Eleanor agreed instantly. "No wonder I couldn't feel any connection to him. Just some random scammer from nowhere. Honey, why didn't you expose him earlier and let Chloe serve him like a king?" Arthur's voice deepened. "I can't kick him out." Eleanor was confused. "Why?" "Because the real Leo Thorne probably already got a game over from the kidnappers. And Grandpa wants a Leo Thorne. This is a ready-made Leo Thorne. So he must be Leo Thorne. Once we inherit the estate from Grandpa, I'll toss him out of the Thorne house." Hearing this, Hugo was ecstatic, instantly dropping his hatred for me. As for Eleanor, even knowing her real son was gone, she felt a bit of sadness, but mostly relief and joy, because her stable, happy family wouldn't be divided. So when the mother and son walked out of the room hand in hand and bumped into me on the stairs, she actually gave me a rare smile. Hugo even actively invited me. "School starts the day after tomorrow. We're in the same class. I'll show you around." I gave zero reaction, walked straight to my room, opened the new textbooks and comic books bought today, flipping through while reading, rapidly memorizing new vocabulary. Before bed, I could already read picture books, hugging a storybook in bed, thinking about Snow White and Sleeping Beauty. Are these fairy tales real? Why do I feel like the huntsman would actually take out Snow White? The 7 dwarves wouldn't help her for free either. And the witch's curse was so OP. The prince probably couldn't defeat her in a 1v1. Anyway, my second night in the big city, everything felt so surreal. Early next morning, before I even woke up, someone knocked loudly on the door. "Leo, are you up?" Chloe called out once. Couldn't wait and pushed the door open. Seeing the unopened PC box in the corner, she instantly raged. "You hugged those torn books all night? Didn't even boot up the PC? What's so good about those kid books? Your brain should be used for proper business. Don't waste it, understand? While talking, she sprinted to the box, assembled the PC in record time. Finally, 4 premium LCD monitors formed a circle, putting me inside so I couldn't even be seen. Right now, the East server has a tournament. I sincerely invite you to join. If we win, you keep all the loot. The first thing she opened was the tournament registration page. I kept a poker face, looked at the Hacker Alliance banner and asked, "This is proper business?" Chloe awkwardly laughed twice. Fighting foreign invaders. How is that not justice? This hacker raid was provoked by other countries, attacking the capital's cybersecurity depth first. Those guys didn't just break the firewall. They blatantly wrote, "Sick men of East Asia," on the official homepage, a highly offensive historical insult. This triggered massive shockwaves across domestic hacker forums. Before the official authorities made a move, they decided to teach the world a lesson. Our team won first place the other day, so this time, we are the main DPS. But taking on the US Cyber Division, I'm not exactly confident. Chloe sounded a bit embarrassed. It's everyone's first time riding a tiger they can't get off. If we fail the first strike, we'll become the laughingstock of the hacker community. I didn't care about the prize money, but I was interested in how code could attack people. So I asked, "How long until the raid starts?" Chloe checked the timer. 6 hours until full assault. Hearing that, I nodded, opened the basic programming book from yesterday to study. Chloe was afraid I wouldn't understand something, so she just camped in my room, even ordered the maid to bring breakfast up. While we ate breakfast in the room, I was slowly sipping a glass of milk. Chloe had already booted up comms with her team. "Boss Chloe, how's your prep? Didn't you say you're inviting a god-tier carry? Is the carry here?" They had no idea how they won the championship, still completely clueless. Chloe monitored the situation while comforting them. "Relax, the carry is here. He's studying right now." Hearing the carry had arrived, the team got hyped. "The god is here? Where? Let us worship him for a sec." Chloe was already planning to flex anyway. She turned on the virtual camera, used a face filter, and pulled both of us into the frame. "Well, see him?" The guys on the other end squinted, suddenly realizing something was off. Why does the god look so tiny? Is he just short?" Chloe looked at me, not even reaching her armpit, nodded. "The kid's still growing. Don't you see him drinking milk?" The other side couldn't even force a laugh, awkwardly playing along. So he's a teenage prodigy like Boss Chloe, and hardworking too. Up this early reading books. Chloe was multitasking, casually replied, "Yeah, otherwise, he wouldn't even know basic programming. Gotta grind the tutorial, right?" The voice chat instantly went dead silent. A long time passed before someone spoke. "Boss Chloe, please don't tell me the carry you found is a literal child who hasn't even read a coding book before." Chloe thought to herself, forget coding books. He barely recognizes the alphabet. But she definitely couldn't say that. It would break her teammates' mental state. "Guys, relax. If I say it's fine, it's 100% fine." She patted her chest, guaranteeing it. Honestly, before yesterday, if someone told her a literal toddler could hack a US government site and carry the team, she'd think they were smoking something illegal. But after experiencing the mall incident yesterday, seeing my calm, speakless demeanor, pro-gamer moves, now, as long as I nodded, she had this bizarre blind confidence. However, she had it. Her teammates didn't. They thought Chloe had lost her mind. "Can you read the room? We're trying to hack an official US website. Don't you know their cyber tech is top tier globally? One tiny mistake. Forget about failing the hack. If we get caught, we're going to jail. You're a rich missy. You got bail money. But we don't. Whoever wants to play this stupid game, go ahead." The team's morale shattered instantly. Deciding to rage quit. Chloe thought they were joking at first, but seeing them log off one by one, she finally panicked. This team was formed back in the Science Academy. Many were PhD students, she called them, but they flat out refused to join. Chloe raged and cursed on the spot. "You cowardly turtles. Who was so hyped about being #1 at the start? Now you get first place and don't dare fight the next boss. You should have said so earlier. I wouldn't have partied up with you scrubs. Damn it." Saying that, she slammed her phone down, her chest heaving with anger, blocked all contact with those ex-teammates. After blocking them, she sat blankly in her chair, turned to look at the kid beside her, still focused on reading, gave a bitter laugh, reached out, and covered the page I was reading. "Cancels the mission. We're not doing this raid anymore." I looked up, my clear eyes free of any impurities. Not being the light of justice anymore? Chloe felt embarrassed for a second about the lore she just taught me, sighed helplessly. "The light of justice isn't easy to be. Adults will always chicken out. Just the two of us, how can we pull it off?" The authorities probably just want to save face. They'll issue a strong condemnation and let it slide. Thinking about it, she suddenly felt learning to code was meaningless. Being a hacker serving justice was all a lie. I didn't understand the loneliness and depression in her eyes, but I felt she was wrong. Doing the right thing shouldn't depend on being an adult or a kid. If it's a program like yesterday's, I can handle it. If so, are you still willing to party up? What? Chloe stared blankly at me until the pure determination in my eyes infected her. The depression from earlier evaporated completely. She slowly sat up straight. This time we're going big. She opened her PC, left a message on the forum. We will absolutely fire the first shot. Originally, it was just a hype post, but soon the gossip-hungry hackers flooded in to question it. Heard your team disbanded? What can you do solo? I knew something was fishy when you guys won. Figures you'd drop the ball halfway. Come on, come on. Fire that shot right at my chest. Let's see how OP you are. Don't tell me you can't even trace my IP. Everyone registered on the Alliance forum was a pro. Nobody respected anyone else. Chloe's skills weren't bad, but among a bunch of god-tier players, she looked a bit weak. These trolls? She was so mad. She wanted to roll up her sleeves and flame them in the comments. But looking down at me, grinding EXP beside her, it was like getting a buff of pure calm. She chilled out instantly. Now wasn't the time to act on emotions. Later, she needed to play the perfect support for me. So, for the next few hours, she also started researching website assault tactics, routing, and extraction plans. 2 p.m. When her forum post had become a massive tower of mockery, I put away my book, sat at the main server seat, fired up all 4 monitors, officially launching an attack on the highest tech country in the world. At first, nobody noticed. They even thought this campaign was a total flop, just venting their anger on the forum at the champion team that supposedly rage quit. Trash champions! Just a bunch of kids. How dare they beat Dark Emperor? Look at our actual power level. The god tiers all retreated to the second line. Who's left to fight the US? While everyone was hiding their IPs and gossiping, suddenly, a wild comment popped up. Holy shit, the US homepage just got wiped. Go look. At first, everyone thought it was a troll, but those who went over to take screenshots to mock them ended up staring at their screens like idiots. The majestic White House homepage had turned into the vibrant lucky red loved by the dragon country, covered in blooming peony flowers, a true wealth and prosperity blooming aesthetic. Though there wasn't a single word on the image, it was full of memes only dragon country folks would get. LMAO! What absolute legend did this? Wealth and prosperity, wishing good people a peaceful life. Exactly my mom's aesthetic. Just passing by. Gotta praise the US for their top-tier taste in art. The vibe in the comment section did a 180, and quickly, they spotted the OP. The first shot. 3 short, punchy words instantly silenced everyone. They finally realized the exact moment of the attack was the scheduled raid time, and the vanguard had actually succeeded. Everyone was caught completely off guard. No time to figure out what happened. They hastily regrouped their original teams and launched consecutive attacks on other official sites. Meanwhile, on the second floor of the Thorn House, Chloe casually left her message, leaned back comfortably in her chair, humming a tune. Couldn't help but grin from ear to ear, looking at the kid beside her, still staring at a picture on her phone, focusing on learning code. Excitedly said, "How does that tiny brain of yours come up with this stuff? Leaving an image instead of text? So deep." Just now, while watching, she laughed so hard her stomach hurt. Hearing this, I tilted my head to look at Chloe, my dark eyes full of confusion, as I explained, "Because I don't understand their words." Chloe was speechless. Right, an elementary schooler who just learned the alphabet. English was definitely out of his league. At this point, I held up her phone, very sincerely said, "You said this is a greeting image. It has lots of flowers. It looks very pretty." Chloe almost choked on the water she just drank, quickly dodged my gaze. Earlier when the kid asked her how to greet the enemy, she thought he was being sarcastic, so she purposely gave him those boomer-style good morning flower memes. Didn't expect me to be 100% serious. But hey, a happy little accident. After that, I continued to grind hard, live editing the image right on their homepage, while blocking the enemy's attempts to restore their data. For me, this was just a casual side quest. But for the US Tech Division, they were clearly having a mental breakdown. Chloe saw a few English comments under the Capital's official Weibo. "Don't go too far. Lift the restrictions and give us our homepage back. We surrender. Can't we just have peaceful communication?" She scrolled through the comments, feeling absolute disdain. Peaceful communication? Why didn't you do that in the first place? Then, The official media of the FBI released a statement, declaring they would aggressively track down those involved in this cyber intrusion. Xue looked at the mini program I just installed in the bottom right corner, turned her head and asked, "Is this anti-tracking system legit?" Although the encryption looked high-end, making her marvel like she was looking at a genius, unable to find a flaw. But what if the US had better tech, guys? Hearing this, I didn't give her a definitive yes. Instead, I shook my head. I don't know. So I need to make the picture look prettier. Xue froze, didn't compute for a second. What does this have to do with the picture? I thought about it and answered, if it's pretty, they'll see the sincerity of my greeting. Xue instantly felt this kid was way too honest, that the adult world is much more complicated than he imagined. She immediately sat up straight, no longer daring to chill, constantly monitoring the US tracking movements, terrified that the cops would kick their door down the next second. I sensed she was scared, stopped typing code, turned and said, "You can log off. If you're scared, you can extract. Even if I get caught, I won't snitch on you." Xue turned to look at my unwavering eyes, suddenly felt ashamed of her momentary panic. Pfft, a little kid like you isn't scared. What do I have to be afraid of? Worst case, we do time together. She gritted her teeth and regained her focus. Right then, someone DM'd Xue on the forum. She opened it and saw it was a hacker from another team. God-tier player. Are you there? What anti-tracking system are you guys using? Can I borrow it? Xue thought the ID looked familiar. Felt like it was one of the guys who mocked them in her post. Instantly blocked him. But less than 2 minutes later, another person came begging for the system. Xue was getting suspicious, so she asked, "Why is everyone coming to me for this? Why not ask Dark Emperor?" Dark Emperor was the ultimate veteran on the Alliance forum. His skills were peak tier. Last time, if I hadn't accidentally cracked his firewall, the #1 spot would definitely be his. Who knew the next second? The guy replied, "Dark Emperor was the first to get busted. Seems like the US developed a new tracking program and secretly sold it to other countries. As soon as we hacked in, we got chased like dogs. You guys are the only ones surviving?" Seeing this, she slowly turned her head, staring at me blankly. Never in a million years could she have guessed, while she was terrified and thinking I wasn't reliable, she was actually being shielded in the ultimate safe zone. "Leo, you are literally a god." She couldn't help but lunge forward, pulling the kid into a bear hug. If I hadn't aggressively resisted, she would have kissed me and spun me around. Now that the crisis was fully resolved, she finally had the mental capacity to care about the others. After explaining the whole situation to me, she didn't forget to remind me, "Of course, it's totally fair if we don't give it to them. They look down on us first anyway. Don't feel any moral pressure." For her, fake morality wasn't a thing. Hearing this, I thought for a moment, and still decided to give them the program. That way, I'll become the light of justice, right? Xue laughed out loud. Didn't expect me to still care about that. Right, you are the light right now. The shimmering, beautiful light of humanity. That night, Xue came to ask if I wanted to sell that mini program. I asked in confusion, "Is that thing worth money?" Seeing this, Xue laughed hard, pointed at the plastic bag I kept by the bed like a treasure. "Probably worth 10 times what you have in there." Hearing that, my eyes lit up. Sell, 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 I'll sell it. All right. I'll have them transfer the funds to my account first. Tomorrow I'll take you to open your own bank account. I calculated the size of 10 plastic bags in my head, feeling happier than reading fairy tales. The next day, I woke up super early to wash up. After breakfast, I sat obediently on the sofa waiting for Xue. Arthur, who was rushing to work, and Eleanor, who was doing yoga, saw me. Both were very surprised. "Leo, why are you up so early?" I answered blankly, waiting for Xue. Right on cue, Xue walked downstairs. "Xue, Leo's been waiting for you. Are you two going out?" "Gotta go out." Xue was half asleep. Last night, the program sold like crazy. Right now, she was yawning uncontrollably. "Going to open an account to deposit my brother's savings." Madame Eleanor's eyes went wide. "What savings? Does he have a share in this house?" Xue ignored her biological mother, rolled her eyes and walked straight to the dining room for breakfast. Eleanor chased after her. "Xue, you need to keep your money, understand? Don't just give it to outsiders. If you want to give it away, give it to Hugo. He's our real family." "Mom!" Xue lost her temper first thing in the morning, cutting her off instantly. "Your favoritism needs a limit. Leo is your biological son. Guarding against him like he's a thief. What's your problem?" Eleanor was speechless. Couldn't just admit he wasn't her real son. Could only look at Arthur for help. Seeing this, Arthur immediately stepped in to mediate. "Xue, your mom was just asking because she's afraid you'll waste money. Leo is still young. Why does he need a bank account? Can't he just put his allowance in a drawer? But there's too much, it won't fit. Leo is amazing. He sold software online and already made tens of millions. Opening an account is just more convenient. What? The Thorn couple was shell-shocked, doubting their own ears. Selling software and making tens of millions? This feral kid from the border had that kind of skill? But Chloe had no reason to lie. The couple looked at each other, instantly swallowing their objections. Arthur patted his daughter's head, looking extremely pleased. Our Chloe is finally acting like a big sister. Since you're going to the bank anyway, get Leo's household registration done too. Then we'll truly be a family. Hearing this, Chloe smiled happily. Got it. Leave it to me. I sat in the living room, finishing my milk, tilted my head to look at the warm family of 3 over there. My cat-like dark eyes sparkling under the sunlight. After eating, Chloe changed into sportswear, then led me outside. Just as we were about to get into the family car, I grabbed her shirt, looked up and said, "Wait a sec, not taking this car." Chloe was confused, followed me to the front gate. From afar, at the end of the road, a familiar SUV was driving towards us. The car stopped. Nora's calm, pretty face appeared, waving at me. "So glad you wanted to hang out. Have you been doing well these past 2 days?" I nodded, stepped forward, wanting to open the door. The car was too high, a bit hard to open. Chloe walked over with a dark cloud over her head, opened the door, casually picked me up. "Why did you call her when we have business to do?" As soon as we got in, Chloe grumbled her complaints. I sat quietly on the side, waiting for the car to start and leave the villa area. Then I suddenly spoke up. "I'm not your brother." Before I even finished, Nora slammed on the brakes, turned to look at Chloe like she saw a ghost, not understanding why the kid just snitched on himself. Could it be? I pointed at Nora, told Chloe, "If you don't believe me, ask her." Nora rubbed her nose, feeling like she got played. But this whole mess was indeed her doing. It was her idea. So after parking for half an hour, she had to confess everything. "You two teamed up to trick me?" Chloe was absolutely furious, feeling like her affection for the kid had been betrayed. Nora felt helpless. At the time, I was just afraid the cops would connect the kidnappers' deaths to him, so I let him use the fake ID. Worst case, when the DNA report comes out, I'll just adopt him into the Quinn family. Chloe was still fuming, blurted out, "What DNA report? My dad said he saw your dad pick it up. Didn't your dad tell you guys?" The report arrived yesterday. If Chloe knew the truth, she wouldn't be reacting like this now. Chloe's mouth fell open, looking dumbfounded. I didn't know. Not only did they not tell her, this morning, her dad even told her to get his household registration done. At this moment, I chimed in softly. "They want to adopt me." "What?" Nora was stunned, confused, asking, "Why?" The Thorn family wasn't just any regular family. There's no way they'd randomly adopt a kid with 0 blood ties. But I didn't need to answer that. Chloe had already figured it out, gritting her teeth. They want Grandpa's inheritance. In the car, Chloe stayed silent for a long time, before asking me, "Why did you tell me the truth?" I couldn't understand her complex emotions. Honestly replied, "I don't want to join the Thorn family registry." Chloe instantly understood, remembering this morning, when her dad heard how much money he had, that weird, suddenly loving attitude. She felt sick to her stomach. "Don't worry, I won't touch a penny of your money, and I won't let them touch it either." I nodded, staring at her, seriously said, "You're different from them. You're a good NPC." Chloe froze, comforted by that sentence. The bitter feeling faded a bit, and started plotting for me again. Sitting in the driver's seat, Nora heard this and kindly reminded, "If that's the case, why don't you just make your own independent registry? But the head of the household needs a property." "What's that?" Chloe had never dealt with this stuff either, but I understood immediately. "Land and houses. So you have to buy a house?" Chloe frowned. "Didn't expect it to be this complicated." Nora smiled. Looking in the rearview mirror, she offered, "I have an uncle in real estate. If you trust me, I can take you to look at houses." My heart skipped a beat. Almost without hesitation, I agreed. Nora's uncle obviously wasn't a nobody. He was the biggest real estate tycoon in the city. After the 3 of us entered the sales center, Nora called him. Unfortunately, he was out of town on business. But Uncle Sterling had already arranged for someone. Someone would show us around shortly. Hearing Nora, I wasn't in a hurry. Walked over to the display case in the center of the lobby, curiously looking at the house models inside. When I was little, I always lived in a rundown shack. Burn marks everywhere. I heard someone even died there. Every day, the old man would wipe the walls a little, saying the walls would get clean eventually. He told me, "Wait until it's fully cleaned. This place will be our home." I didn't really get it. Thought as long as the wind and rain couldn't get in, having a roof was good enough. Just me and him in that shack. Doesn't that count as a home? I remember his eyes were very kind back then, but he shook his head and said, "You need a proper house for it to be a home. A clean, cozy, and warm place. Only then will others be willing to move in and become your family." Too bad the black ash on the wall wasn't fully cleaned yet, and the old man was gone. For all these years, I either lived in a thatched hut behind the village, or acted as a stray cat guarding the village roads. Never had a home. Now looking at these beautiful models, thinking if I bought a house like this, the old man would definitely love to move in. Suddenly, a figure shoved past me. Ouch! Whose feral kid is this? Running around without a leash, causing trouble here. The woman bumped into me, but played the victim first, holding her dress with one hand. "Do you know how much this outfit costs? If you get it dirty, can you even afford to pay for it?" The sales staff hurried over to apologize. "I'm sorry, miss. It's our management's fault. Please calm down." "Calm down my foot. This little brat needs to apologize to me. If his parents don't know how to teach him, I'll teach him myself. Don't you dare stop me. I know your manager." She was acting incredibly entitled. The staff on site didn't dare to move. Seeing this, the person felt satisfied, tilted her chin up and walked up to me. "Look at your pathetic, poor face. Your parents probably dragged you here just to look at things you can't afford. Too bad for poor trash like you. You could work your whole life and still not afford a toilet here." "A toilet?" I smelled the heavy perfume on her, faintly mixed with a familiar scent. Quietly took half a step back. Asked the staff member next to me, "Are the toilets here very expensive?" The staff froze, looked down at my serious little face, couldn't hold back and burst out laughing, because it was just too cute. "Hey, what's with that look? Don't you see I'm disciplining him?" The Karen was highly offended, stepped forward, aggressively pushed the staff away, raised her hand to twist my ear. I'm highly sensitive to malicious intent. Instinctively tilted my head to dodge. Right behind her was the display case. The woman missed and crashed straight into it. "Aw!" Her dramatic scream made everyone jump. Her knee slammed into the counter. Blood was dripping down. A bald, fat guy with her panicked immediately, constantly calling her baby. "Boo-hoo, hubby! It's all this damn brat's fault. You have to get justice for me," Karen cried, while pointing her finger at me to snitch. Baldy Bob looked furious too. "Why haven't you kicked him out yet? Call his parents here to apologize and pay up, or else I'll sue you all into the ground." The staff was about to turn and escort me out, when they saw two elegant girls walking in through the door, both with dark expressions. A few quick steps and they were standing in front of me, shielding me from Baldy Bob. I was wondering who it was, talking a big game, kicking people out just like that. You'd think Sterling Real Estate was owned by your family. Chloe, holding a coffee in her left hand, and a small cake in her right, tilted her chin at Baldy Bob. Baldy Bob flinched. "Huh, Miss Thorne?" Then looked at Nora beside her, flinched again. "Miss Quinn is here too? What's your relationship with this kid?" Nora smiled gently. "He's my lifesaver." Chloe refused to be outdone. "He's my newly found brother, biological brother." Baldy Bob was dumbfounded. By now, he was sweating bullets. Nora glanced at his face, then at the woman sitting on the chair, still keeping her smile. "Thought you were bringing your wife to buy a house to show off. Turns out it's not your wife? What a surprise." Dots. Hearing this, his face changed colors. He quickly stood up and bowed apologetically. "I'm sorry, Miss Quinn, Miss Thorne. I didn't know this was the young master of the Thorne family. If I had known, I absolutely wouldn't dare be disrespectful." Chloe coldly snorted. "Did he mess with you? What are you apologizing for? Tell the person involved to step up." Baldy Bob didn't dare refuse. Turned around and grabbed the woman's arm. "Hurry up and apologize to young Master Thorne. You dare offend him? You stupid blind woman." He was annoyed that the woman caused trouble, but unexpectedly, she was even more annoyed. "What are you doing? You're hurting me." The woman shook his hand off. Seeing herself become the target of public criticism, she raised her hand and slapped Baldy Bob across the face. "Useless! Can't even protect your own woman. What's the point of keeping you?" A loud slap echoed, leaving everyone stunned. Baldy Bob's face turned red from humiliation. Just as he was about to say something, the woman kicked him and sneered. "Get lost! I'm dumping you right now. Get out of my sight." With that, she looked back at the three of us. Her red-painted fingernail pointed arrogantly. "And you lot, don't leave. I'll show you what's what." Hearing this, Baldy Bob, Nora, and Chloe exchanged looks. In this city, the people who could actually cause trouble for them, and had real power, could be counted on one hand. Seeing the woman take out her phone, expertly dialing a number. A few minutes later, a figure rushed into the lobby. The staff saw him and greeted in unison. "Hello, manager." The man was around 40, skinny, wearing a suit. gave a half-hearted nod to everyone, then immediately switched to a simping face next to the woman, asking with extreme care, "Ruru, who made you mad? Tell me. I'll vent your anger for you. Don't get too mad. It breaks my heart." That cheap simping display turned Baldy Bob's face green, but the manager of Sterling Real Estate was someone he didn't dare cross. Right now, he could only hold his face and step aside in frustration. The woman added extra drama to her story, then arrogantly ordered the man to get revenge for her. "Anyway, if I'm not satisfied today, don't ever contact me again." Okay, leave it to me." The man coaxed her, turned to look at Nora's trio, frowning. "This is a sales office, and we sell premium housing, not a place for you brats to hang around. Now you offended our client. Apologize and compensate immediately." He sounded like he was stating facts. Nora looked at him, amused. "You don't know me? My dad's last name is Quinn. He knows your boss." Nora and the Sterling family were official in-laws. She had been here quite a few times. With this reminder, the man vaguely remembered. His expression shifted slightly, looking a bit conflicted, but the cold snort from the woman behind him made him harden his stance again. He said in a deep voice, "No matter who it is, Sterling Real Estate always puts the customer first. Please apologize immediately." Nora paused, her face turning ugly. Chloe beside her was quietly laughing at the misfortune. "Looks like your reputation isn't working here." Just as the situation was in a deadlock, I, who had been protected in the back all this time, suddenly reached out and tugged Nora's shirt. Nora turned her head. I waved my hand at her. Nora didn't know what was up, curiously bent down, and heard me whisper a sentence in her ear. "Are you serious?" She looked a bit surprised, seeing me nod affirmatively. Only then did she slowly frown, stood up straight and said to the two opposite, "Since we can't negotiate, let's call the cops. Let the cops decide." "Call the cops!" Everyone present was shocked, feeling like making a big deal out of this minor incident was blowing things out of proportion, but Nora's attitude was firm. "Anyway, we won't apologize, and we're going to sue that woman for threatening a minor." The hot-tempered woman exploded instantly, yelling loudly, "Call them! Let's see who here dares to be a witness for you." Seeing this attitude, Chloe almost laughed out of pure anger. To think the little tyrant of the Thorne family could get bullied in this random corner. She really needed to expand her horizons today. So she pulled out her phone and sent mass texts, calling all her rich playboy friends over. So when the police car arrived, there were already quite a few phones set up in the lobby, live streaming the scene. "Hey guys, today's drama is spicy. The eldest miss of the Thorne family went to buy a house and got hit with a fake scam. Anyone passing by, don't miss out. Come take a look. What kind of nobody dares to mess with Miss Thorne? Heard the other side has connections at Sterling Real Estate, planning to commit perjury on the spot." As soon as the cops arrived, Chloe immediately demanded to check the security cameras. Captain Luke looked at the two sisters speechlessly, feeling like his horoscope clashed with theirs lately. Ran into them everywhere. "Miss Thorne, I hope you understand. Our police force is very busy. For these minor disputes, please go to the neighborhood committee." He pinched the bridge of his nose. There was a stress pimple near his mouth. He had been pulling all-nighters recently to bust an indoor drug ring, and coincidentally ran into the mall robbery. The main issue was the drug case still had 0 leads, making him a bit grumpy. Chloe wasn't happy with his attitude. She grabbed the back of my collar and said, "Does he look like a delinquent kid who causes trouble?" I was lifted up with my innocent dark eyes, looking incredibly honest and naive. Luke looked at me, nodded and said, "He really doesn't. More than just doesn't look like it. Someone who could solo a mall robber has already surpassed 99% of adults, way beyond the scope of a child." "What do you mean? Are you colluding with them now?" The woman opposite started screaming, putting a label right on Luke's head. Chloe turned and glared at her. She smiled a smug, disdainful smile. "Trying to use a live stream to control public opinion, little brat? Then don't blame me for adding some spice and talking nonsense. Want to fight me? You're too green." While Chloe was absolutely furious, Nora, who was usually calm and calculated, suddenly lunged forward, grabbed the woman's wrist and dragged her outside. "What are you doing? Let go! Psycho!" The woman's leg was already injured. Moving it sent a jolt of pain that made her face pale. Right now, she lost her mind from anger, grabbed the handbag next to her and smashed it hard onto Nora. Hey, stop fighting! Stop!" Seeing this, Luke had to step in to stop them. But before he could take 2 steps, a tiny figure zoomed past, also lunging at the woman. "Get off me, you crazy little freak!" The woman got her wrist bitten hard by me, screamed in pain, trying to shake me off. I tilted my head to dodge, casually pulled the zipper on her handbag. Zip! Everything spilled all over the floor. Luke instinctively looked down. The next second, his face changed. He roared, "Nobody move!" When the black barrel of his weapon appeared, everyone struggling in the lobby froze. The rich kids live streaming dropped their jaws and muttered, "It's just some hair pulling. Do you really need to pull out the pew-pew?" But quickly, they saw Luke push through the crowd, pick up a syringe and a piece of tinfoil from the ground, sniffed it, then aimed straight at the woman. "Ma'am, I am officially arresting you on drug charges. Please come to the station for investigation." Everyone finally woke up, looking at the spilled bag on the floor. There seemed to be some white powder inside too. As for the agitated woman, after realizing she was busted, panicked for a split second, shoved Luke away and tried to run. Nora shouted softly, "Lock the doors, don't let her escape." The security guards by the door quickly snapped back to reality. Right before the woman dashed out, the glass doors were locked tight. Seeing her escape route blocked, the woman slammed into the door, fiercely threatening the guards outside. "Open the door, or I'll unalive all of you!" The guards were shaking like leaves. Luckily, Luke caught up in time, subdued the woman, and pinned her to the floor. She probably inhaled an overdose of that naughty nose powder. Her nerves were glitching out. Luke temporarily left the woman sitting on the sofa, watching her go absolutely insane. He explained to everyone, "There's a new type of sketchy party flower going around recently. After inhaling, emotions become extremely volatile, even showing antisocial personality traits. Everyone please stay alert." Hearing this, it all made sense. No wonder the opponent feared nothing, even daring to provoke Nora and Chloe. At this moment, Nora pointed at the manager beside her and said, "Captain Luke, this gentleman is probably an accomplice too. I suggest you take him in for investigation." That manager was the one who helped the woman vent her anger. After being called out, his eyes panicked for a brief moment, then pretended to be calm and said, "Miss Quinn, this is a personal vendetta. You can't falsely accuse me just because I didn't help you earlier." Before he could finish his sentence, Luke walked over with a dark face, his voice deep, carrying a probing tone. This new type of magic dust started circulating exactly from premium residential areas. We always suspected there was an inside man, providing client lists to the criminals. If it's a real estate manager, he could absolutely pull all this off. So, please come with me. The manager instantly went mute. Realizing this guy wasn't easy to fool, he turned to run. Too bad Luke was already prepared, grabbed him and pulled up his sleeve, seeing the needle marks on his arm. The truth was basically out in the open. After that, the situation escalated, because the woman was the breakthrough link. Half an hour later, all clues became clear, confirming the woman was the ringleader. The manager was her subordinate, helping introduce clients. They had spun a network across the city. Sterling real estate was their next target market. When the team members took the woman away, they even winked and gave a thumbs up to Luke. Captain is the best. Caught the ringleader just like that, busting a major case like it's a walk in the park. Luke was speechless. Honestly, he was totally confused himself. Didn't understand why he just came to handle a minor dispute, and ended up cracking a massive syndicate. Luke turned to look back at the scene. Besides a group of staff being investigated, and the rich kids live streaming, there were only Nora and Chloe left, and a weird feral kid, if he remembered correctly. The woman's bag earlier was... He was just about to walk over, when a teenage girl's figure blocked him. Calling the police was my idea. I also have a few details to add with the captain. Nora smiled, looking completely harmless. "It was you?" Luke paused, looked up to observe her. "Did you really call the cops over a minor dispute, or did you realize the opponent was a criminal?" Nora glanced at the hidden livestream cameras around them, calmly replied, "I saw the needle marks on his arm." "Just that?" Luke frowned, feeling this excuse had a massive plot hole. Normal diabetic patients also need to inject insulin at any time. A normal person wouldn't immediately associate it with illegal substances, right? "Ah, is that so?" Nora acted like she just realized. Looking completely innocent, she said, "Maybe I watched too many detective shows, so I'm a bit paranoid. But accidentally helping the police can be considered a good deed." She spoke very lightly, but Luke's heart was still full of questions. When he turned around to look for that kid, he found the kid had vanished. At a small table in a hidden corner, I was sitting on a high stool, using a tiny spoon to eat the cake in front of me, piece by piece. Seeing nobody around, Chloe sneaked over and asked, "Did you tell Nora to call the cops?" My mouth was full of cream, eyes narrowed in satisfaction. Hearing that, I just gave a slight nod. Chloe gasped, her curiosity piquing. "How did you know she had a problem?" "When she bumped into me, I saw needle marks on her arm, and she smelled like burnt tinfoil." "Tinfoil?" Chloe didn't know much about this stuff. Then why didn't you tell me? Chloe was a bit annoyed. Even though they weren't blood-related, they lived under the same roof. In terms of closeness, she should definitely rank higher than Nora, right? But I ended up teaming up with Nora. This made her feel a bit jealous. I thought about this for a long time. Finally found a suitable explanation. Because you can distract the enemy's aggro, like calling people over to livestream, making a big scene. These things made that woman drop her guard. That's also very important. Hearing this, Chloe's heart suddenly felt incredibly warm. Her anger vanished completely. Still keeping her arrogant tone, she said, Nora is completely useless. I just went to buy a cake, and she let you get bullied. We won't play with her anymore. After saying that, she felt a chill down her spine, turned around and saw Nora standing there smiling silently. Goosebumps popped up all over her. Miss Thorne, I asked for your help to distract them. That doesn't include trash-talking me. Nora sat down at the table, first gave Chloe a side-eye, then looked through the carved screen towards Luke outside, slowly spoke up. Have you met that captain before? He seems to be paying special attention to you. I gave an eating cake while saying, he came to take my statement once. I didn't pay much attention. He's a good NPC anyway. I have nothing to be afraid of. Nora looked at me helplessly, turned to warn Chloe. In the future, if I'm not around, try not to let Leo show his face in these situations. His background is very special. Being noticed by someone with bad intentions will cause a lot of trouble. Not to mention others. Just that captain alone, if he targets Leo, who knows if he'll dig into his past. Might even take him to the station for interrogation. This was also why she took all the credit earlier. Didn't need her to explain further. I know what to do. Chloe didn't want to be outdone. Frowned and retorted. Just as she turned her head, several phone cameras were shoved in her face. The rich kids who just finished their statements surrounded her, looking at her with pure admiration. Boss Chloe, you're absolutely cracked! One move and you busted a major case. Hot news that even the press couldn't dig up. And we got to naturally live stream it on site. Look at the viewer count in my room, it's skyrocketing. Look at those haters who said you were a bully earlier. Now they're all praising you for being smart and sharp. A brilliant, legendary hero. The crowd showered her with compliments, making Chloe feel like she was floating on clouds. After the police finished their investigation and left the model house area, a middle-aged man rushed over from outside. Nora was very surprised to see him. Uncle Sterling, weren't you out of town? Why are you back already? Mr. Sterling, the boss of Sterling Real Estate, walked over. Still looking a bit shaken, he said, You ran into such a situation. How could I sit still? I rushed back from out of town immediately. How is it? Are you hurt? I'm fine. They didn't touch me. Nora shook her head, then introduced Chloe and me. Today was mainly to accompany him to buy a house, so we accidentally ran into this case. Her words clearly carried a hint. Mr. Sterling immediately looked at me with a bright smile, reached out and patted my little head, joyfully said, In that case, young Master Thorne is my lucky star. If it weren't for you, my residential area would have turned into a drug den. How about this? Which house do you want to buy today? I guarantee you'll be satisfied. Then Mr. Sterling personally took everyone on a golf cart around the estate, going to each unit to choose. I stopped for a long time in front of a villa with a pool, then turned to ask Mr. Sterling how much it cost. Mr. Sterling was amused by my adult-like bargaining tone. He couldn't help but pat my head, generously said, No money needed, I'm gifting this house to you. I looked up at him blankly. Why? Mr. Sterling chuckled softly, bent down to explain to me, Because without you, I would have lost a lot more money. So this is a thank you gift. Just take it. This was the first time in my life receiving a thank you gift, and it was a villa worth tens of millions. With CEO Sterling here, in less than an hour, from the transfer of ownership to handing over the keys, all procedures were done. Holding the brand new red property book, my household registration was also complete. The little red book only had my name on it, even though I really wanted to add Grandpa's name, but I heard deceased people get removed from the registry. So I just set up a wooden plaque in the yard. Considered it as him moving in with me. Before leaving, Mr. Sterling looked quite regretful. I should have treated everyone to a meal, but the project in the city is rushing me. I'll have to host our lovely little friend next time. But I heard from Miss Thorne, Leo also studies at Malton Elementary. My daughter Mia also studies there. Hope you two have a chance to become good friends. Nora knew. It wasn't easy for him to squeeze in a trip back, and nodded, saying, So she smiled, Mia, up after school tomorrow. I'll let them get to know each other then. Sounds good. Mr. Sterling's eyes showed gratitude. After seeing his car off, The three of us returned to the fully furnished villa. Chloe took a tour and couldn't help but click her tongue. Truly a real estate tycoon. Very generous. Nora didn't mind the title. Uncle Sterling is a generous guy. That's also why his business keeps growing. Chloe felt she was hit right in the feels and pouted, threw herself onto the sofa. Still not necessary. Using a kid's connections. If he knew Leo wasn't the Thorne family's heir, wouldn't he die of anger? Hearing this, Nora shook her head. This has nothing to do with Leo's identity. Uncle Sterling's daughter, Mia, is very introverted. I've heard him mention it a few times. Seems like she's not very happy at school. He probably saw Leo's calm personality and wanted to ask Leo to look out for her. Chloe thought she was joking. Leo is just a kid himself. How is he going to look out for anyone? Nora disagreed with that. Leo is much more capable than you think. Chloe couldn't argue with that. Whether it was fighting thugs at the mall or exposing a hidden cartel case, she truly couldn't do either. Both of them turned their heads, looking out the floor-to-ceiling windows. A tiny, skinny figure was standing by the pool with a serious face. Ever since house hunting earlier, the kid seemed particularly interested in this pool. After getting the house, he didn't even check the furniture, just kept wandering around the edge of the water. What do you think he's looking at? Chloe couldn't contain her curiosity. Is there gold underwater? Nora shook her head. It's also not understanding my actions. Before the two could come to a conclusion, they saw the kid jump in without hesitation. Splash! He jumped into the water. A huge splash erupted on the surface, followed by the sound of bubbling water. A string of bubbles floated up. The two teen girls in the living room froze for 2 seconds, then screamed in horror and jumped up, pushed the window open to go fish him out. By the time they struggled to pull me up, I had swallowed a belly full of water. You don't know how to swim! Why did you jump in there? Are you tired of living? Chloe patted my back to prevent me from choking while coughing up water, half scared to death. This time, Nora couldn't understand either. She kept a straight face, wanting to retract her previous praise of him being calm. I coughed up most of the water, then stared at the water's surface again, looking like I wanted to try one more time. This time, Chloe figured it out. Do you want to learn how to swim? I nodded, my little face soaking wet. Then you should have said so. Nora and I can both teach you. Did you think you'd learn just by jumping in and drinking some water? Why are you so silly? Chloe poked my forehead, about to die of anger because of me. I just spaced out. In my head, there was absolutely no concept of being taught. Back in the village, there was only a shallow creek, because I was small. The other kids in the village said if I wanted to learn to swim, I had to learn to drink water first. So they pressed my head into the creek. The winter creek had a thin layer of ice. My head was freezing cold. In my dazed state, I swallowed a lot of water. Later, I actually could hold my breath for a long time. So I thought that was how you learned. But today, Chloe and Nora told me it wasn't like that. The two big sisters saw my clothes were already soaked anyway, so they didn't waste the opportunity. Stood on the shore teaching me swimming postures first, then supported me in the water, teaching me how to hold my breath and paddle. Under the sparkling water surface, I just learned the doggy paddle, struggling to keep my little head up, paddling the water. Seeing my joyful and excited little face, and my sparkling eyes, the two teen girls guarding me also smiled. I paddled towards the edge, my dark eyes filled with pure joy. This was the first time I felt learning to swim wasn't that painful. That evening, after the three of us ate at a restaurant outside, Chloe finally took me home. As soon as we walked in, Hugo bounced up from the sofa in the living room, excitedly asked, "Sis, I heard you took Leo to deposit money. Does he have a lot of money?" Chloe looked at his excited face, knew he already figured out the truth, and was eyeing Leo's loot. Instantly felt extremely disgusted. She rolled her eyes and said mockingly, "Whether he has money or not has nothing to do with you, sis." Hugo was unhappy being ignored, pouting. Eleanor stepped in just in time to smooth things over. "Chloe, Hugo is just curious. Did the household registration go smoothly today? Why did you take so long?" Chloe realized she was probing, felt a bit annoyed and answered perfunctorily, "Very smooth. School is starting soon. Should we send him to Grandpa's place now?" Even though she really wanted to stay with me. But thinking about everyone in this house, staring at me like hungry wolves, she felt it was better to move out early. If this was before, Eleanor would have definitely been overjoyed, raising both hands in agreement. But now, she forced a smile and hesitated. School is starting soon. Going to school from our house is more convenient. Besides, Hugo and Leo can keep each other company. Ever since knowing I wasn't her biological son, Eleanor truly lost her hostility towards me. But she quickly came up with another plan. She wanted Hugo to build a good relationship with me. Then they could both go live at Grandpa's place to butter up Grandpa, so they could get a bigger share of the inheritance later. Hugo had already been instructed earlier, so he completely changed his attitude. Stepped forward, wanting to grab my hand. Don't worry, I'll take care of you at school. As long as people know you're my brother, no one will dare bully you. I dodged his touch, having zero interest in this child's play. Turned and walked upstairs myself. Mom, look at him! Downstairs, Hugo was almost crying from anger. The next day was September 1st, the official start of school. To prevent Hugo from tagging along, Chloe dragged me out early in the morning. Drink your milk so you grow taller. The first thing she did after getting in the car was shove a bottle of milk over. Yesterday's swimming drained too much stamina. I finished the milk and ate 3 pieces of bread. Seeing Chloe slouching and playing on her phone, I looked at the driver in front, then asked, "You don't know how to drive?" "Nora knows how." My blatant comparison instantly triggered Chloe. She bounced up in outrage. "I'm still a minor, okay? Nora is a total scammer. Looks harmless, but who knows what she's really like? You should hang out with her less." I honestly hadn't thought of that. Remembering Nora's pro-driving skills, felt like I really shouldn't judge a book by its cover. But, don't worry. During the upcoming survival training camp, I'll definitely get first place in the wilderness survival event for you to see. Chloe felt that if she didn't achieve something, this little brother was going to be led astray by someone else. I had no concept of that event, just thought for a moment and warned, "The wilderness is very dangerous." "Hey, are you worrying about me?" Chloe instantly felt refreshed, rubbed my little head. "Don't worry. In the elite school we attend, students' lives are worth more than gold. They wouldn't dare put us in danger, unless someone is actively seeking a game over." I nodded, half understanding. Malton was an international elite school covering everything from kindergarten all the way to high school. Although the elementary and high school sections weren't in the same place, the distance wasn't far. Chloe left home early, just to take me around to get familiar with the environment first. Didn't expect to run into Nora right after getting out of the car. Nora stood next to a luxury car, holding a little girl's hand, smiling brightly as she greeted us. Seeing this, Chloe looked disgusted, pulled me, wanting to walk away. "Wait." Nora took a few steps forward to meet us, bent down, her eyes curving as she introduced. "Leo, this is Mia Sterling, Uncle Sterling's daughter. She's in the same class as you. I hope you two can get to know each other." "Mia, don't be scared. This is Leo Thorne. He's a very good boy." I looked up at the timid little girl. Even though she was dressed like a delicate little princess, her demeanor seemed very afraid of strangers. When I reached my hand out, Mia flinched and hid behind Nora. "Hey, what's wrong with her? Leo wasn't going to hit her. Is there a need to be this scared?" Chloe naturally lacked patience with kids. She felt besides me, other kids were just loud and annoying, so her tone wasn't very nice. "Mia, what's wrong?" Nora called her twice, but the kid refused to come out. She felt quite helpless too. Mia just transferred here last semester, probably hasn't adapted to the environment at Malton yet, so she's always resisting going to school. I thought having Leo as a friend would improve her mood a bit. Didn't expect nothing to change. "Don't use my brother as medicine. He's not a babysitter." Chloe spoke without holding back. After saying that, she dragged me straight ahead. I followed behind her. My dark eyes glanced towards the direction Mia was looking at earlier, just in time to see a young man, dressed in a neat suit, looking very scholarly. The man noticed my gaze, quickly stepped forward to introduce himself. "Hello there, are you the new transfer student? I'm Mr. Liam, homeroom teacher for class 4-1. I heard a new little friend was coming today. I guessed it had to be you. Am I right?" Mr. Liam smiled very kindly. After briefly understanding the situation, the two kids were handed over to the teacher. I was led into the school by the teacher. First time seeing the legendary elite school with my own eyes. I observed very carefully along the way. The other students were also looking at me, because I wasn't wearing a uniform. Plus I was dark and skinny. Even though my clothes were good quality, I looked completely out of place here. "Are you scared?" A voice suddenly came from above, warm and gentle. I shook my head. Didn't understand what there was to be scared of. Is that so? New transfer students usually aren't used to this, because this is an elite school. Most students come from very good families. Even the teachers compare themselves with each other. In this kind of atmosphere, you being dark and wearing ugly clothes, even speaking Mandarin with an accent will make people dislike you. Mr. Liam's voice was slow and pleasant like a spring breeze. But he was explaining to me the cruelest, darkest side of this dreamlike castle. But I felt the teacher was wrong. If others disliked me because of that, that's their problem. They are the ones who need to be educated. But just as I was about to speak, I saw Mia beside me wiping her tears. Mia kept her head down, crying very quietly, but tears were falling constantly. Her body was still trembling slightly. Seeing me look over, Mr. Liam sighed, patted Mia's head and said, "Last semester was hard on you. Luckily you pulled through. Right, Mia?" Mia hiccuped, then gave a slight nod. "Good girl." Mr. Liam smiled gently. His fingers slid down naturally, resting on Mia's neck. The little girl wore 2 braids today, exposing half of her pale neck. The man's large hand was placed right there. I silently stared at that hand for a long time, frowned, feeling a bit suspicious. At the classroom door, the class bell hadn't rung yet. Mr. Liam told Mia to go in first, then said to me, "Let's go in when class starts. Give everyone a surprise, okay?" Right then, someone in the classroom suddenly shouted, "Leo Thorne!" Then from the front and back doors, a bunch of kids rushed out, instantly surrounding me. "Whoa, is this Leo? The OP guy? Who defeated the robber?" Yeah! He was so cracked that day." The kids all talked over each other, looking at me with excitement and curiosity. I recognized a few familiar faces. They were the ones from the mall. So I looked up and asked the teacher, "I already know them. Do I still need to surprise them?" Mr. Liam's smile stiffened slightly, but he still said kindly, "Didn't expect you to be so popular. If that's the case, go in with your friends." When Hugo dressed up stylishly, timed his entrance perfectly, ready to receive his classmates' admiration and jealousy, he found everyone was gathered around a desk, and the person sitting behind that desk was me. "Hugo, get over here! Leo is hilarious! He's never watched Ultraman! He hasn't even played with Barbie dolls. That's too much." Everyone urged Hugo to join the discussion. Hugo slumped back into his seat with a dark face, his tone a bit sarcastic. He's from the countryside. Of course he doesn't know anything. Normally, his friends definitely wouldn't like a country kid, thinking they were tacky and dirty, might even take the chance to mock them for fun. But today, as soon as he said that, he faced collective pushback from his friends. "No way! Even if Leo hasn't played Ultraman, he is like Ultraman. He can save lots of people. I also think not playing with dolls is fine. Dolls can't block bullets anyway, whether boys or girls." They all stood up to defend me. Hugo was furious, so mad he laid his head on the desk during morning study, refusing to get up. Finally, it was break time. He got up to go to the bathroom. When walking past Mia's desk, he purposely knocked her pencil case to the floor, stomped on it a few times to vent his anger before leaving. My seat happened to be in the back row, watching Mia bend down to pick up her pens. The classmates around her kept playing. Absolutely no one went over to help her. Someone walking by even stomped on it a few more times, and Mia acted like she was mute. From start to finish, she didn't say a word. I felt she was a bit weird, but couldn't exactly point out what was weird. I didn't go over to help either, because picking up pens wasn't life-threatening. She could finish the quest herself. First day of school. Getting exposed to the elementary curriculum, I studied very intently and very fast. Usually, when the teacher taught chapter 1, I read very slowly, but once I got used to the pace, for the rest of the class, I could finish reading the entire book. During one class, I even saw familiar characters, realized it was English, the language used on the Friendly Exchange website last time. To avoid using the wrong words next time, I carefully memorized the alphabet, spent one class period memorizing all the vocabulary. When the last morning class ended, classmates rushed out of the room in groups. "Leo, let's go! Let's go to the cafeteria!" A little friend came to invite me. I nodded. Just as I followed them out, I looked back and realized Mia was still sitting at her desk, not moving an inch. I was about to ask if she was going to eat, when a boy grabbed my hand and pulled me back. "Don't be friends with Mia. That weirdo. Nobody wants to be near her. She's definitely going to the teacher's office later." I looked at the boy in confusion. What's weird about her? Why call her a weirdo? Maybe because my eyes were too sincere and pure. The boy paused for a moment. Just then, Hugo and his squad walked over. Hearing this, he snorted. "She's not a weirdo, but she's definitely an annoying snitch. Whenever class is over, she clings to Mr. Liam for tutoring, and talks bad about us." I frowned. My dark eyes stared at Hugo, asking seriously, "Did you see it with your own eyes?" Of course he hadn't. It was just rumors. But that didn't stop him and everyone else from boycotting Mia. "Anyway, anyone who plays with her is annoying. If you go to the office, then you are too." Hugo finished and stormed off angrily. The boys wanted to introduce me to Ultraman, tried to drag me along, but after pulling my arm a few times, they realized I was standing completely still, and then I asked, "Where is the teacher's office?" Lunchtime. The academic building quickly quieted down. Only a few students were walking slowly, but all were heading towards the stairs. The office was right in the middle of the hallway. When I saw the nameplate, I noticed it was very quiet inside. Didn't seem like anyone was there. Looked up at the window. The curtains were drawn shut too. But Mia definitely walked in this direction. My instinct was not to knock on the door. Instead, I went to the classroom next door to borrow a chair, climbed up and stood under the window, looking through the gap in the curtains into the room. In the dimly lit room, silhouettes appeared. I recognized it instantly. That tall silhouette was Mr. Liam. The suit jacket he wore this morning was taken off. His white shirt was covered in chalk dust. Right now, he was also unbuttoning his shirt. I thought he wanted to change out of his dirty clothes. But looking over at Mia standing in front of his desk, my heart suddenly felt very uncomfortable. And it wasn't just Mia in the office. There were a few other girls with braided hair too. I thought for a moment, jumped off the chair, walked over and knocked on the door. The knocking echoed abruptly in the quiet hallway. A moment later, the office door suddenly swung wide open. Mr. Liam's face appeared. Seeing me, he looked a bit surprised, then quickly put on his trademark smile. "Leo, is there something you need?" I noticed his second button was buttoned wrong. His shirt was only tucked in on one side, so I peeked past him into the room. "I'm waiting for Mia." Mr. Liam looked a bit surprised, shifted his body to block my line of sight, explaining, "Mia isn't doing well in her studies, needs extra tutoring, so she can't go to lunch with you. If you're hungry, go eat first. Be a good boy." So saying that, he reached out to pat my head. I wrinkled my nose, instantly dodging it, and said bluntly, "You should go wash your hands." Hearing this, Mr. Liam froze. Even his smile became stiff as he asked, "Why?" I thought for a second but didn't know how to explain. "I'm just very sensitive to smells." So I could only say generally, "It stinks." The smile on Mr. Liam's face was barely holding up. "Then I'll go wash them right now. You go ahead and eat." Saying that, he walked past me straight to the restroom. Didn't even bother closing the office door, because elementary school kids are usually terrified of the teacher's office. The kids inside wouldn't dare run around without his permission anyway. But despite all his calculations, he didn't expect I wasn't a normal kid. Seeing Mr. Liam turn into the restroom, the next second, I walked into the office. Went straight up to Mia. "Are you really getting tutoring? You're not here to snitch?" Hearing this, Mia didn't say anything, just shook her head. I noticed her body was trembling slightly. "Are you scared? Is there something in here?" But Mia and the other girls stayed quiet as mice. No matter what I asked, they wouldn't open their mouths. I frowned and looked around. Only saw a phone on the desk. Feeling the atmosphere here was very weird and very oppressive. Not wanting Mr. Liam to come back and keep them here later, I grabbed Mia's hand, turned and walked straight out. Mia let out a small cry. Didn't expect my grip to be so strong. In just a few seconds, she was dragged to the office door, not hearing any footsteps behind me. I turned back and told the group of girls inside, "If you don't leave, I'll tell everyone you're snitching. Everyone will hate you." Kids this age are most afraid of being isolated, especially since they were already very introverted, hard to fit into the group. So hearing that, they were all terrified, grabbed their backpacks, and bolted out. By the time Mr. Liam finished washing his hands and came back, he realized the office was empty. He went crazy, tearing at his hair. How dare they run away? Gritted his teeth, staring at the ruler and steel marbles on the desk. Those were all things he painstakingly prepared. Just then a teacher with a stomachache ran back for medicine. Seeing him not leaving yet, asked caringly, "Mr. Liam, tutoring students again? You're so dedicated!" Mr. Liam stealthily swept the stuff on the desk into the drawer below, then smiled and stepped forward to help. "They're the future of our nation. Help as many as I can." The other teacher found the medicine, took 2 pills, and then started praising him endlessly. "It's rare to see someone with your professional ethics nowadays. I happen to be going to eat with the principal. You come too. Show your face more, it'll be easier for your promotion evaluation. Hearing the good news, Mr. Liam happily accepted. Just as he was about to turn back and clean up, the teacher on the right quickly pulled him away. "Hurry, hurry, we can't make the principal wait." On the other side, I led Mia downstairs. She shook my hand off. "No, we can't run. The teacher will be mad." She kept her head down, tears falling constantly, looking absolutely terrified. I didn't quite get it, but seeing her crying nonstop, it was obvious we couldn't go eat lunch. So I stood by the road and called Nora. Half an hour later, Nora rushed over. Saw the 2 kids under a large tree by the school road. I was sitting on the bench, and Mia was sleeping with her head on my lap. "What happened?" She walked over. First sat down next to Mia, then looked at me. I pointed at her eyes and said, "She cried so much she got tired and fell asleep." Nora had already seen those walnut swollen eyes. Feeling a bit helpless, she picked Mia up. looked towards the closed cafeteria. You still haven't eaten, right? I'll take you out to get some food. Nora had rushed over in a hurry and hadn't eaten either. I shook my head. I have something to do right now. Then looked at Nora and asked, do you have a computer? Nora paused, a bit confused why I was asking. Yes. You want to use it? I nodded. I want to use it right now. I stood up. Without another word, I walked straight out. This fast, decisive execution speed left Nora no time to ask another question. She had no choice but to carry the kid and stride after me. She drove here. There was a backup laptop in the car. I had used a laptop at the electronics store last time. Immediately pressed the power button. Also conveniently pulled out the data cable that was charging her phone. Nora just laid Mia down comfortably, turned around and saw this, asked, whose phone is that? Without looking up, I said, the teacher's. Hearing this, the corner of Nora's mouth twitched, asking, why did you take the teacher's phone? Because it was very weird. I didn't notice her complicated expression, just quickly connected the data, while researching how to crack the password, casually explained. A police uncle once said, bad guys usually hide secrets in their phones. That way they can look at them anytime. It makes them feel safer. Hearing my description, Nora frowned, starting to understand the situation. You think that Mr. Liam is a bad guy? I don't know. I shook my little head. My hands didn't stop moving for a second. Whether he's a bad guy or not, we'll know once we find the evidence ourselves. If this was before, Nora would find this kind of guilt by assumption ridiculous, like making baseless accusations against someone. But not only did I save her life, I had proven my abilities time and time again. Nora was now just like Chloe, having a blind faith in me, so she stopped bringing up returning the phone. Instead, asked caringly, can you unlock it? If not, we can ask Chloe. Before she could finish her sentence, she saw the laptop screen filled with dense lines of code. Jaw dropped in shock. If she knew the person who caused chaos in the Hacker Alliance battle 2 days ago and gifted the US the wealth and prosperity meme was me, her eyeballs would probably pop out. 3 seconds later, with a ding, the phone automatically unlocked. The screen lit up. Nora leaned in close. Her eyes caught a thumbnail in the bottom left corner. Her gaze instantly sharpened, instinctively covered my eyes. The next stuff isn't appropriate for you to see. Hand the phone to me, okay? Her voice dropped, cold as ice. I rarely saw her this angry. Hesitated for 2 seconds, then nodded. Put the phone in her hand. For the next 10+ minutes, Nora sat in the driver's seat scrolling through the phone, not saying a word. After finishing, she got out of the car alone. When she came back, her hand was scraped, still bleeding. I had seen many people self-harm in moments of extreme rage. Hesitated for a moment, then said, you should just go beat up Mr. Liam. Hearing this, Nora froze, then was amused. Casually used a tissue to wipe her hand, reached out to rub my head. The dark, icy look in her eyes slowly faded, returning to her usual warmth. Thank you, she thanked me solemnly. Attitude extremely serious and sincere. I guessed Mia probably ran into something bad. Looking down at her sleeping soundly, whispered, then she's not going to class this afternoon? Not going. Nora's face showed obvious heartache. I have to take her to the hospital for a trip. Okay, I nodded, not asking too much. Before getting out of the car, Nora was still worried. Why don't you skip school today too? Wait 2 days until I sort this out, then you can go back. I turned to look at her, remembered something and shook my head declining. We have PE this afternoon. The teacher said there's a test. Also, even though Mia isn't there, if Mr. Liam is a bad guy, the other classmates will be in danger too. Nora froze for a moment, looking at the kid standing next to the car, not even as tall as the door, moved by the determination on my face. The deep gloom in her heart was gradually swept away. Finally, she sighed softly and said, all right, then you have to be careful. I'll quickly arrange things and come back. If you run into danger, absolutely do not act recklessly. I nodded, knowing she was caring about me. Lunch break passed quickly. Students returned to their classrooms one after another. Mia's absence on sick leave didn't attract anyone's attention, only I kept staring at her empty desk. Until PE class, when everyone went outside for activities. The physical test at the start of the semester was a 400-meter run. For kids this age, it was truly hell mode. After running, most students were panting heavily. Some couldn't even catch their breath and were supported to the side to rest. I didn't feel anything at all, didn't even break a sweat, like I just finished a warm-up. Alright, the rest of the time is free activity. Find a place to rest. The PE teacher saw everyone had zero energy left, had no choice but to blow the whistle and dismiss the class. A few friends ran over, inviting me to play in the shade. Let's play trading cards. We brought a lot, you can play with us. Just then, loud gasps of amazement came from another shaded area. Turned out Hugo was opening card packs. "Oh my god, these are all super rare cards. Hugo, you're so lucky." Amidst the crowd's flattery, Hugo lifted his little face, looking at me provocatively. "If you guys play with him, I won't let you see my cards. Choose yourselves." The elementary schoolers obsessed with trading cards instantly felt a massive threat. After hesitating for a few seconds, those friends abandoned me, running as fast as the wind over to Hugo's side. Seeing this, I actually felt relieved, because compared to those cards, I was more interested in basketball. I walked over to the basketball hoop, grabbed a ball from the cart. Just realized basketballs have a weird, rough but soft texture. The PE teacher resting nearby saw this and smiled. "What's up? Want to learn how to play basketball? If you want to learn, I'll teach you how to shoot. Playing basketball can help you grow taller." The second half of the sentence made my eyes light up. I stared at the nearly 2-meter tall teacher, sincerely asked, "If I learn it, can I be as tall as you?" The PE teacher was taken aback for a moment, then burst out laughing, feeling this little kid was really interesting. "Although the chances of getting as tall as me aren't high, you can definitely catch up to your classmates." So for that whole afternoon, while other students were hiding from the sun playing games, I was the only one not afraid of the heat, practicing shooting hoops alone with the ball. At first, all my shots missed. Due to short arms and short legs, it was very hard to control the large basketball. Occasionally, students saw my clumsy posture and laughed, or pointed and mocked me for being too stupid. Hugo also saw me running around like crazy alone, pouted and muttered, "Whatever, he looks pitiful. If he wants to join our game, just let him come over." He acted all high and mighty, thinking later, the money in my card would all be his. Treating me a little better wouldn't hurt, but I had zero intention of giving up on basketball. If I missed, I tried again. If I didn't understand, I pondered the teacher's instructions, analyzed the reasons to adjust. By the time the students in the shade got dizzy from looking at cards, they suddenly looked up and saw a basketball from outside the three-point line, making a loud swish, falling perfectly through the net. It went in! The kids thought their eyes were playing tricks on them, but right after, they saw me bend down and grab another ball. Standing at the three-point line, casually tossing it, another perfect swish. The PE teacher, who had a nonchalant attitude at first, was now standing by my side helping me fetch the ball, looking at me like he found a treasure, watching and constantly nodding. "Not bad. You're definitely a great sports seed for the future. I noticed you ran very effortlessly earlier. How about later, I time you for a 100-meter sprint record?" But this time, I didn't agree, because I wanted to grow taller. Hearing this, the PE teacher rubbed his nose. Didn't have the heart to say he was just joking earlier. Playing basketball doesn't guarantee you'll grow taller. After that, more and more students gathered to watch. Every time I made a basket, cheers erupted, even livelier than opening card packs. Kids admire direct strength much more than adults do. In a flash, the trading cards in the shade were tossed on the ground. Everyone rushed over to cheer, acting as my cheerleading squad. Hugo had brought the cards with great difficulty, wanted to flex, but was once again overshadowed. So angry he pulled out several handfuls of grass. However, the weather was too hot. The PE teacher was afraid I'd get heat stroke. Didn't dare let me practice for too long. With 10 minutes left until class ended, he collected the balls. I was sweating profusely. Felt a bit thirsty, so I ran to the outdoor sink to wash my face. Then went to the water dispenser nearby to get a drink. Just drank halfway. Suddenly saw a familiar figure walking out of the academic building. It was Mr. Liam. Behind him, he was leading a few little girls. I instantly recognized them as the tutoring students. Remembering Nora's furious look after checking the phone, I immediately put down the paper cup, quietly followed them. Mr. Liam led the group towards the back of the academic building, to a small woods area behind the school. It was midsummer. The trees were lush and dense. I had to get very close to spot their silhouettes. Then I saw Mr. Liam using a ruler, lifting the skirts of those little girls. This action made me frown instantly, feeling extremely uncomfortable. Even though I had never been to school, I knew that as girls grow up, their bodies are sensitive private areas. You can't let others touch them casually. Tell me, confess honestly, and I'll let you go home. Otherwise, we'll have to play here for a while. Mr. Liam's usually gentle voice dropped low. Even his laugh sounded raspy and grating. The ruler glided across the girl's knees. A gloomy voice echoed, "Who took my phone?" Turns out he realized his phone was missing, so he thought they stole it. I hadn't anticipated this. Felt a bit regretful in my heart. Was about to step out and admit I took it, but remembered Nora's warning. telling me not to act recklessly. Even though Mr. Liam didn't look very tough, I still chose to hold back. However, following his interrogation, the little girls started sobbing. That crying not only didn't soften Mr. Liam's heart, it stimulated his sick interest even more. Cry, cry, look a bit more pitiful. Just like that. Absolutely beautiful. He seemed possessed. Circling the girls, a bright smile suddenly bloomed on his face. Then he ordered, "Now, take it off." I frowned. At first, I still didn't react in time, until I saw a little girl pulling her small skirt down. In that moment, I finally understood what Mr. Liam was doing. The hot blood in my veins instantly boiled over. Remembering years ago, a new teacher came to the village. She was a very beautiful older sister. She came to find me a few times. Wanted me to go to school, she said. Only knowledge can change destiny. I studied and learned the benefits of studying. That's why I came here to bring knowledge to you. The people here won't be bad forever. You have to believe that knowledge will change everything. But before waiting for the village to get better, she went crazy. I heard she was violated in the cornfield. Later I went to visit her, and bumped into the villagers walking out of her door. Every single one of them had a satisfied smile on their face. Clearly no murderous intent. But it made me feel disgusted. And that beautiful gentle sister from years ago was lying limply among torn clothes, never speaking another word to me again. Later she jumped into the river to end her run. When she logged out, her belly was very big. I heard there was a baby inside, but she didn't want to give birth to it, so she chose to quit the game. In the end, she died on the land where she gave up her future to come and reform destinies. And all I remember will forever be the satisfied smiles on the faces of those villagers. I thought leaving the village meant I'd never see that kind of smile again, but I didn't expect that in a school as beautiful as a fairy tale castle. There was also such a filthy side. The moment I dashed out, I wasn't thinking about anything. My vision flashed with many fragmented images, followed immediately by screaming, crying, and rushed footsteps. Teachers and students nearby were all attracted by the cries. When they entered the woods, they saw Mr. Liam, blood pooling from the back of his neck, and I, holding a rock, standing beside him emotionlessly. Only my dark eyes stared fixedly at the person on the ground, as if ready to deliver another blow at any second. Call an ambulance. Hurry, Mr. Lee. Quickly manage the students on your side. Everyone get back to class. No crowding around here. Mr. Lee was the PE teacher for class 4-1. Hearing this, he finally snapped back to reality, wanted to usher the students back. At this moment, Hugo in the crowd suddenly screamed, "Leo unalived him, right? He's a murderer!" One sentence caused a massive shockwave, even if they were experienced kids. Facing a real-life unaliving naturally instilled terror. Hugo's description, plus my blood-stained hands, further confirmed this fact. The crowd erupted into fresh screams. Students scattered in panic. The students of class 4-1 looked at me, like looking at a demon. Mr. Lee, the teacher who just taught me basketball and placed high hopes on a good sports seed, didn't want a rumor to easily ruin a student, stepped up to calm everyone down loudly. Everyone stay calm. The incident hasn't been investigated clearly yet. There might be a misunderstanding here. Don't jump to conclusions. I'm not jumping to conclusions. Hugo stepped out indignantly, also loudly condemning. Mr. Liam is the best and gentlest teacher. Leo just got here on his first day and beat him up like this. What grudge could they possibly have? I think Leo clearly has violent tendencies, just like when he saved people at the mall. It was all him being reckless. Just dumb luck. Everyone's been fooled by him. Compared to the homeroom teacher who had taught them for a year. Obviously, an outsider like me couldn't make the students trust me. Plus, a 9-year-old kid acting so ruthlessly. Even the adults around felt a chill down their spines. So the discipline head rushed over, immediately ordered no one to approach the crime scene, and gathered the teachers to surround me in the middle, looking at me with expressions full of vigilance. Not long after, the sound of an ambulance echoed outside the school. When everyone turned to look, they found the first to arrive at the scene were uniformed police officers. The discipline head was a bit confused. Did any of the teachers call the cops? The other teachers all shook their heads. In an elite school like Malton, even if someone died, without the school's permission, no one dared leak the news. Yet the police just showed up like this. The discipline head sensed things were going south, stepped forward trying to cover it up. "Officers, is there a mistake? This is just a minor accident here." Unfortunately, before he could finish his sentence, he was interrupted by a police badge shoved in his face. "I am Captain Luke, head of Criminal Investigation Squad 1, received a report from a Malton School parent, stating a teacher here is suspected of creepy behavior towards minors. requesting the school's cooperation in the investigation. What? The discipline head's brain instantly blue-screened. Still hadn't processed it. Creepy behavior? Impossible. You must be joking. This is the biggest elite school in the city. The teachers hired are all domestic and international elites. How could they do something like that? But in front of professionals, this defense was completely meaningless. Whether it's true or not, we'll know after investigating. Right now, we want to see Mr. Liam. Luke put away his badge, his face strictly impartial. The discipline head vaguely realized something was terribly wrong. His face went slightly pale as he said, "The person is right here, but I'm afraid you won't be able to ask him anything right now, because just now a student beat him into a severe coma." What? This time it was Luke's turn to freeze. He looked past the guy, saw Mr. Liam lying on the ground, and Leo standing to the side, looking very much like the culprit. Why is it this kid again? At this moment, Mr. Sterling and Nora had also arrived at the scene. Seeing the bloody scene, they were all shocked. Nora ignored the police cordon, ran over and grabbed the kid's shoulders tightly, anxiously asked, "Are you okay? Are you hurt anywhere?" The medics doing first aid nearby were speechless. No matter how you looked at it, the person in critical danger wasn't your kid, lady, just as they were secretly shaking their heads in dismay, thinking terrible parents raise rebellious kids. The bleeding from the back of Mr. Liam's neck was finally stopped. Thank God. No fatal wounds. Once his pulse stabilizes, we can transport him to the hospital. The doctor took off his mask and didn't forget to lecture. "Little kid, no matter how naughty you are, you can't hit people with rocks. That can really cause a game over. You're lucky this time. Next time you might not be so lucky." However, before he even finished, he saw me slowly roll my eyes, focusing my gaze back on Mr. Liam's face, asking a single question. "He's still not dead?" Hearing this, the doctor was dumbstruck. Holy sh! This kid actually wanted to send him to the shadow realm. Nora saw Luke behind her about to step forward, quickly pulled me into her arms, wanting to take the chance to throw away the rock I was holding. But as soon as she moved, her arm was grabbed. "Hold on." Luke stepped forward quickly, leaned in, and easily separated the two. "Miss Quinn, we've met a few times already. Consider ourselves old acquaintances. I want to talk to the boy privately. I probably won't scare him, right?" Truly an experienced cop. One sentence and he blocked Nora's words. Nora pressed her lips together, ultimately couldn't stop him any further. Luke smiled faintly, told his team to take Nora's statement. Only then did he turn to look at me, and the rock with distinctly sharp edges in my hand. "I know your head is very clear right now, so can you tell me, the person on the ground, was it you who hit him?" Right now my head was indeed very clear, but my physical reaction was a bit delayed. Hearing this, I looked down at my hands, then answered half a beat late. "Probable." Luke was taken aback. Didn't expect a vague answer. He continued asking, "Why probably? Don't you remember?" I tried hard to recall, then nodded. "Yes. Because I was too angry. Lost control of my emotions." Many crimes of passion do indeed result in hazy memories of the details, but this made Luke even more curious. "Why were you angry? Did you see something?" A kid who could calmly deal with an armed robber. What kind of rage could make him lose his reason? Hearing this, I belatedly looked over to the other side. The few girls who were being protected, their parents had arrived at some point, hugging their kids tightly to comfort them. I looked at him, pointed at Mr. Liam, then pointed towards the group of girls. My voice was so slow it was almost silent, because he forced them to take off their skirts. The small woods fell silent for a moment. Everyone's eyes widened. Hearing this sentence, it was like seeing a ghost. A gentle breeze blew past. The parents of those girls over there suddenly yelled, "What nonsense are you talking about? My daughter just went to Mr. Liam for tutoring. It's a normal teacher-student relationship. Why are you fabricating things out of thin air?" "Exactly. Clearly you saw it wrong yourself. Accidentally hurt someone. And now you want to shift the blame to us." The synchronized denial from the other side instantly put me in a passive position. Hugo took the lead in echoing from the side. "Mr. Liam could absolutely never do something like that. It's all those bad students clinging to him for tutoring, making the teacher unable to rest properly. He tutors without even taking money. He is a true good teacher." Most students of Class 4-1 also nodded. Only a few scattered ones huddled in a corner, silent, not saying a word. Because the incident was severe and involved the privacy of minors, the police quickly set up a cordon around the woods, only keeping the students of Class 4-1 to take statements. As soon as Hugo finished speaking, Nora strode forward, facing those parents directly. With an ugly expression, she said, "You've all seen the photos. If you didn't believe it, Why did you rush here so frantically? If you feel your face is more important than your child's purity, then go ahead and let this animal stay at the school to be your daughter's teacher." Her words were harsh and hard to swallow, but every sentence hit right in the bullseye, turning the parents' faces pale. They received the news half an hour ago. After confirming the photos in Mr. Liam's phone, they rushed here full of indignation and rage. But when they were truly pointed out that their daughters were violated by the teacher and would have to face gossip and rumors in the future, "We were transferring schools." One parent, whose face was completely drained of blood, bit her lip and said resignedly, "Since things have come to this, even if it's not true, we won't let our child study at Malton anymore." Saying that parent glared at Mr. Liam with burning eyes. But compared to exposing the fact that their daughter was a victim and facing the impending gossip and rumors, they just wanted to sweep it under the rug, pretend nothing ever happened. Nora's face hardened, not saying another word. Everyone has different standpoints and different choices. She couldn't force anyone, but if they couldn't convict Mr. Liam today,